This is ABC.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is currently offering this 130-acre tract just to the north of the Southwest Florida Regional Jetport. With frontage on Daniels Road, it is in the land use plan as airport commerce. This 750-acre parcel is located on the northwest corner of I-75 and Alico Road. The acreage can be divided and is in the land use plan as industrial commercial interchange. For more information on these properties and others, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
Watch, listen, and win in Southwest Florida's biggest prize contest ever. Over $10,000 in free groceries from Super X, plus a very special grand prize will be given away in the WEVU TV Q96 FM Watch, Listen, and Win game. Each weekday from now through July 11th, watch WEVU TV between 5 and 8 p.m. for the Super Trivia question and answer. Then listen to Q96 FM the following morning for your chance to win. It's the biggest prize contest that's ever been on WEVU TV. Watch, listen, and win. Serving all of Southwest Florida, this is WEVU TV.
Just a few hours ago, this beach was deserted. The Gulf was calm and peaceful, but there's been quite a transformation in the past few hours. Now the beach is packed and the Gulf is stirring, and it's all for one reason. Welcome to WEVU TV's coverage of the offshore powerboat races.
Live from Fort Myers Beach, the 1986 Southwest Florida Nissan Dealers 150 Offshore Powerboat Races. Brought to you by Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty. And by the Cape Coral Hospital. Hello to everybody. This is Chris Barnes working today along with Ernie Schmidt, and we're here for a beautiful day of powerboat racing. Ernie, how's it shaping up early on?
Chris, it looks like it's going to be catwater inside and V-bottom water offshore. The winds are running about 10 miles an hour from the southeast, which kind of lays the water down close inshore, but the modified and the open class have got to make one long run offshore, and they're going to run into some pretty rough seas out there, it looks like.
Okay, Ernie, working with us today will be Ben Benzinger, who will be working off the pier, Fort Myers Beach Pier, which will be the start and the finish point for this race. Also, we'll have Mike Cannington in one of our helicopters. Carolyn Gussoff, we heard from the opening of the show, is down on the beach. She'll be talking to some of the many, many thousands of spectators that are down there. Our second helicopter will be manned by Michael Delaney. In all, we have 6 cameras, 2 Bell Ranger helicopters, and a lot of good things for you to see. Mark Zewalk will be working with Mike Cannington in one of the helicopters, and C.J. Johnson with Michael Delaney in the other one. And we'll be hearing from all those boys and what's going on up there in just a few moments. Let's take a look at the crowds here and see exactly what's going on. How do you feel about the spectator fleet and the crowds at the beach, Ernie?
Chris, it looks like a normal race boat crowd. You've got spectator fleet on the outside of the course, or really on the inside of the course from the standpoint of the course itself. You've got boats that stretch out for about 5 miles along the beach. On the beach itself, I would guess at this point probably 100,000 people are up and down Fort Myers Beach, ready to watch one of the most spectacular events in offshore racing.
What have we set for the starting time?
11:15 is what we understand from race control will be the starting time. That's about 15 minutes later than normally scheduled. But in order to get the boats over here from the wet pits, it's a little bit of a long trip here at Fort Myers. We expect them to be in the mill area about 11, ready for 11:15 start time.
Okay, now when these boats start coming over, we'll be giving you a rundown. There was a question even early this morning as to how the starts will be arranged. Ernie, do you have any late word on that?
No word yet. With the number of boats, and we've got over 40 boats in the field this year, about equal to last year's starting field. Probably we'll see the open boats, which are the biggest boats here, coming through first, the modified second, pro stock third. Then they will probably start to lump some of the smaller classes due to the fact there aren't as many boats in those fields.
Well, there was some talk they may start the open and the modified together. What difference would it make if they started them separately or together?
The only difference you'll really see is that the open boats and the modifieds run that first lap the same length. The open boats have about 10 miles an hour on them, so the coming around for the first lap, the modifieds will be slightly behind them, but not far.
Now, when the races go off, everybody says you have, we'll have either 4 or 5 starts, depending on how they do the open and the modified. What is the lapse time between the divisions at the end of the race?
All right, so the viewers will understand what will happen. These boats will go to a mill area, which will be to the north end of the start-finish line here at Fort Myers. Those boats will be milling until the pace boat gives them the yellow flag and they're brought up on plane. That boat will then bring them to the start line and give them the green flag for the start. He has to go back and pick up the next group of boats in their mill area. That takes 2 to 3 minutes. So between each of these starting fields, there will be about a 2-3 minute pause between them. All of the boats should be off and on the course within about a 10 to a 15-minute period.
Okay, Ernie Schmidt, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue with our Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
Bridge, designed for family fun. Offered by Harvey Youngquist and ARC Realty.
If your present office telephone system needs frequent service, that hurts. If you aren't getting same-day service, that hurts even more. And if your system isn't designed to grow with your future business needs, that isn't a little hurt, that's a disaster. Telephone support systems provide solutions, not patch jobs. If your requirements are between 2 lines with 2 phones to 30 lines and 100 phones or more, call Telephone Support Systems, the first company in Florida, selected as an authorized distributor for Southwestern Bell Telecom.
Well, as Don McNeil used to say, it's a beautiful day in Chicago. It's a magnificent day here at Fort Myers Beach. Working with me today will be Ernie Schmidt, former president of Chris Craft, who's been involved in powerboat racing for some 15 years or more. He formed and managed the Glasgow Molinari racing teams, and I guess they still hold some world's records, don't you?
Chris, in those tunnel boats in the outboard classes, in 1 year we captured 22 first places and finished second at the World Championships in Havasu 2 years in a row. So, yeah, those were quick boats.
And you participated in that 425-mile race from San Francisco to Long Beach?
That's one I'll never forget. Yeah, it was 2 hours in solid fog off the coast of California, and we were lucky, finished first in that race.
Well, that's very good, Ernie. We'll be talking to you more about that. We have a picture of a boat out there in the water moving along. What about the seas?
Chris, I think what we're going to see, looking at it as far as we can see out there, with the southeast winds, it's laid it down along shore here. You're probably 1-2 foot chop, and in that, the cats that'll be in this boat can run at their optimum speeds. Offshore, it'll be a little bit rougher. It is not unrealistic that we'll see some of the world course records shattered here today with the boats that we know are in the starting field.
And we have another fellow that's working with us here today.
Certainly do. A friend of mine, Tim Chasuli. Tim is the owner-driver of Maxon, which competed last year in the open class with a 37-foot Chris Cat. Tim also holds several world's records in a 30-foot Chris Cat that has speeds capable to 130 miles an hour.
Okay, let's get Tim in here. And Tim, what are the boats doing right about now?
Well, I'll tell you, right now, the adrenaline is really pumping. It's like having 10 cups of coffee. These guys are so excited before the start of the race, checking all the systems, making sure all the temperatures and oil pressures are up to where they should be. From a racer's point of view, this is probably the most exciting because you have a mixture of the calm water and the rough water, and this was always one of my favorite races on the circuit.
We should mention Tim has raced here, what, the last 2 years?
Last 2 years, yes, sir.
And tell us a little bit about the boat you were in.
Well, the first year we were in a 30-foot Chris Cat called Maxon. It had twin 700 horsepower engines and had speeds in excess of 130 miles an hour. We were doing very well, and of course we had a little problem with an outdrive. The following year we were in a 37-foot Chris Cat built by Conquest. And we were also doing very well. After 5 miles, we had a 1 mile lead, but unfortunately, we were plagued again by some bilge gremlins.
Very good. Folks having a great time out here on the beach right now, Ernie.
Well, as I said, you've got a lot of people here at the beach today, Chris. This is probably one of the most well-attended races on the offshore circuit. And this year, there'll be 10 of those races taking place all the way from Key West up to Rochester, New York, Michigan, and here in the state of Florida with 4 races.
Well, I know I got here right after 6:30 this morning, and already there were people out on the beach, and there were 3 young ladies swimming. I don't know whether they had just gotten here or been here all night.
Chris, I stayed on the beach in a condo last night, and there were some boats anchored out there last night to get a prime position.
Okay, we're waiting, of course, for the start of the race, which will come up approximately 34 minutes from right now. The boats are coming over from the Cape Coral area, which that's quite a haul from Cape Coral over to here.
It is, Chris, and sometimes this can present a problem for these race boats. You understand that they are designed to run at optimum speeds, and being off-plane or being at speeds slower than what they'd like to run, as temperamental as some of these engines are, it can present real problems in overheating, ignition systems such as that. They would rather come right out of a pit area right into the race.
Okay, the fun and games are on the beach right now, but about a half hour from now, it's all going to be out to sea. And Tim, a question about the seas today. What about the cats versus the bees? What is the latest opinion on that?
Well, what's unique about this particular course is really no one has as a tactical advantage. There's calm water out here where the cats can really get their speed, and there's rough water going out to checkpoint 2, I think, where the deep Vs can take a lead.
Okay, now an interesting point that we're going to look forward to coming up, both Tim and Ernie, your input on this, is Team Apache. They have 2 boats here, a V and a Cat.
Yes, now Ben Kramer is petitioning to try to get the American Powerboat Association to give the driver of record a choice on which style hull he wants to run that particular day. Years ago, it was that's the way they did it. Betty Cook, for instance, would show up to the race with a Cat and a deep V, and depending upon the weather conditions, that's the hull she would run.
What do you think they'll do today?
I have a funny feeling that they're going to run the Cat. It's just too borderline. Really, rule of thumb, anything below 4 feet, a Cat's got the advantage, and I think at this stage in the game, that's what I would choose.
Okay, Tim and Ernie, we'll be back with our continued coverage of the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
We can bring...
Harvey Youngquist is proud to announce the grand opening of Southwest Florida's most prestigious business community, Linden Place. Located in South Fort Myers on College Parkway, Linden Place offers professional business site ownership. To secure your future business home, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686. Linden Place, the heart of Southwest Florida's business community.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
When you need accurate weather information, turn to the most experienced meteorologist in Southwest Florida. Turn to Bill Zieliff with more than 39 years of experience. Bill is more accurate than any other weathercaster in Southwest Florida.
We depend on Bill Zieliff's weather forecasting because he has been in the area a long time, and we feel that he knows the area and its weather phenomena better than anyone else.
Turn to experience you can trust. Turn to Bill Zieliff, weeknights at 6 on the WEVU News Center.
Right, yes. Well, seeing Bill reminds us of the weather, and right now the weather is well nigh perfect for this race, Ernie.
It's holding the weather reports on the Coast Guard stations. It looks like it'll be this way almost all day long. There might be a few scattered showers, but nothing, I don't believe, that will interrupt the start of the race at all.
I'll get my suntan lotion out in just a moment there, Ernie. You know, the offshore race at Treasure Cay kicked off this new season just about 4 weeks ago, and a record-setting performance was turned in the open class. Michael Delaney recaps that race for us.
Treasure Cay is one of many scenic spots located in the beautiful waters of the Caribbean Sea. Located 190 miles east of Fort Lauderdale, it is being transformed into a race course for some of the fastest boats in the world as the offshore powerboat season gets underway. The Treasure Cay race kicks off the race season, and an impressive field turned out for the competition. No less than 3 premier national champions competed in the open class, and before this day would be through, another new world record would be established. Before the race, Popeye's Diet Coke received its christening. A new boat with a newly designed hull and a revolutionary configuration of engines is being tested. Owner Al Copeland talked about his new machine.
Really so innovative. We really don't know an awful lot about what's going to happen, but we know that it's light and it's quick, and we know that we can't run this particular boat in a lot of heavy water. You know, this boat was designed and built so that we could run for a kilo record, and it's designed to start with 6 engines to race in a race configuration so that we can qualify it. In order to do that, we have to finish first, second, and third in a national event.
At the start of the open class competition, M66 Special Edition took the early lead. Seahawk, with Sal Magluta driving, was in second, trailing the leaders number 7 Systems, Popeye's Diet Coke, and the Jesse James. The latter, another new boat with a specially designed cockpit. These sleek, powerful boats are traveling at speeds in excess of 110 miles an hour. The Pro Stock class followed the open class. Competing in the race, Captain America P4, the Agitator P40, Longshot in P52, and P84, the Bandit. The battle on this day would be Longshot, the red boat, and Bandit, the white boat, but watch out for the Agitator. These boats range from 24 to 33 feet in length, smaller than the catamarans and deep V's in the open class, but just as exciting to watch just the same. While the Pro Stock class took off, lead changes were taking place in the open class. Seahawk took a big advantage over the pack, but Popeye's Diet Coke, which had a late start and had to make up 4 minutes, came on strong. Passing number 7 Systems, Al Copeland had his boat cruising. The Jesse James was hanging in second and looking good with their newly designed cockpit. A cockpit designed with safety in mind.
Really what it is a roll cage for water, and it's got a seat in it with our throttles and trim tabs, steering, all that. And it's designed to protect us in the event of a severe accident. It's designed to come free of the boat, where the boat, in a worst case scenario, the boat could disintegrate totally around us and we'd still be protected by this capsule. So we're looking forward to not being able to try it out, but I think we're at a point, we've learned quite a bit just at this stage of the game, that in our next boat we'll be that much further ahead and know even more what we're dealing with for making the sport as safe as possible.
Meanwhile, in the Pro Stock class, Longshot, with Edward Collier driving and Mike Dalwitz at the throttles, take the lead over Bandit. These two would be battling all afternoon along with Agitator. With the race now 3/4 of the way finished, number 7 Systems breaks down. Seahawk and Popeyes battle it out for the lead, and somehow number 7 Systems is able to get back on plane and finish the race. Meanwhile, the checkered flag is out in the Pro Stock division. Longshot comes away with a victory over Agitator. And that was Longshot's first time in the winner's circle. Seahawk was heading for the finish line when all of a sudden, on the last turn of the last lap, they break down and could not finish the race. Jesse James came across the line first, but as they come towards the finish line, they were informed they had incurred a 10-minute penalty for being on plane in the milling area before the race. A tough blow indeed. And first place goes to Popeye's Diet Coke. A somewhat surprised but happy Al Copeland celebrated the win. And a new world record, an average speed of 109 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour better than the previous mark.
We had a bad start. We couldn't get on the plane. It took us, I understand we were 5 minutes behind the pack when we took off. So it took us about a lap and a half to catch them, just to catch up. And then we got up front, took the lead, and I had the lead for a while, and Sal and I jockeyed back and forth for a while. And things went along good for a short period of time. And then we popped an engine. So we about two and a half laps into the race, we popped an engine. And we had to come back down to 5 engines, and we were running wide open on 5 for the rest of the race.
Al Copeland in Popeye's Diet Coke, the first big winner on the 1986 Offshore Powerboat circuit.
Okay, and we have Mike Cannington in a helicopter overhead, as you can see. Mike, if you can hear me, what's it look like up there?
Oh, Chris, just absolutely beautiful, unbelievable sight right up here. We're flying right over, as you can see, the boats that are lining the course. We have not seen the powerboats leave the yacht basement in Cape Coral yet. We understand that they will be leaving pretty soon, so it looks like everybody's gearing up for what should turn out to be a great day of racing.
Okay, you stick around and wave to us when you go by, and we'll be back to you in just a few minutes, Mr. Cannington. Ernie, before we take a break, we need to bring up to date that record performance at the Treasure Cay.
Yes, Chris, one clarification. That is the first time in offshore powerboat history that a 100-mile-an-hour average has been set on a race course. They went back and recertified the course, and upon doing that, discovered that the average speed was 103.176, which is still a new course record. It was set both in the open class and in the modified class, with special edition also recording a 103 speed.
Okay, and we'll have a change in the rules in the milling area, and when the boats come up there, we want to explain that to you, and we'll do it in just a little while. And we'll continue with the Nissan 150 powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Long way to go, such a long way to go. Make it to the border of Mexico. So I ride.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is proud to announce they are taking reservations for home sites at the Harborage. The Harborage in South Fort Myers is a total waterfront community with over 100 acres of freshwater lakes as well as access to the Gulf. All lots are waterfront with full underground utilities and security controlled. There are only 134 home sites in the Harborage, and over 70% are already reserved. To make your reservation, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
From Airport Marine, home of the never-ending boat show, the name is Yamaha, a major force in American boating with 25 years of outboard experience in more than 140 countries worldwide. Yamaha brings America the future in boating with a full line that includes everything from a mini 2-horsepower model up to our awesome 220-horsepower V6 Special, all with a 2-year warranty. Yamaha at Airport Marine, US 41 south of Page Airfield.
Mike Cannington tonight at 11 on the WEVU News Center.
Okay, you're watching some of the spectator fleet out there. To bring you up to date here for the powerboat races, the official start is set for 11:15. Means that the boats will be coming over in the milling area in not too distant future. Ernie, there's been a rule change about the way boats may use that milling area.
Yes, this was just voted on at an APBA meeting here in Fort Myers, and as the boats get ready to start, Chris, what they do, they're in a mill area just to the one side of the finish line, or the start-finish line, so they can come across. There is a continuing problem that these boats, obviously, they want to get up, they want to be on plane and running as quickly as they can. but it's a very dangerous situation as the nose of that boat goes up and the driver loses visibility. If there's another boat that is not on plane in front of them, it could result in a serious accident. This has happened once in several years here of offshore racing. They have changed that mill area rule to a new rule that says that the boat must be under 7 miles an hour and must not be bow high. Now this changes the situation for a few of these boats because in the open and the modified class with a full fuel load of 250 to 300 gallons of fuel, some of these boats are set up to where it's very difficult for them to come on plane. Once they're on plane, they're set for their optimum performance. So they would rather have that rule that they could be up and running. But in order for the protection of the other drivers, this rule was just put into effect. If a boat is on plane in the mill area, it will result in a disqualification for that race. If he does it twice, it's a disqualification for the rest of the season.
Very good, Ernie. Thank you very much. You know, the second event of the offshore powerboats for 1986 took place just 2 weeks ago on May the 3rd at Marathon. Beautiful weather, smooth seas greeted the boats at Marathon on that May the 3rd, and we have this recap of that event. Marathon, a beautiful spot in the Florida Keys, was the setting for the second event of the 1986 offshore powerboat racing. The spectator boats were lined up along the race course, and the fans were allowed to stand on the 7-mile bridge to get a good view of the powerful boats. 38 vessels in 6 classes took to the open seas, with the open class first. U.S. number 1 Seahawk and Jesse James were destined to shoot it out on the blue-green waters of the Keys. Jesse James had finished first at Treasure Cay some 2 weeks earlier, but was penalized 10 minutes and placed third. They hoped that May 3rd would be a kinder day to them. Art Swift of Naples, the Rookie of the Year in 1985, was also in this class. He was driving Daddy Cool. In the open class, Seahawk US 1 with Sal Magluta at the wheel jumped off to an early lead with Seahawk 20 and Systems right nearby. The Seahawks, of course, are team boats. Fairly smooth water around the Keys for this race. Jesse James came up to challenge for the lead as they moved into the deeper waters beyond the 7-mile bridge. US 1 Seahawk was the national champion for the open class in 1985. It's a 36-foot aluminum craft powered by 2 70-horsepower engines. Throttle man is Gus Falcon and Ralph Lanero navigator. Art Swift of Naples on Daddy Cool was the first boat to drop out. They blew an engine only 10 minutes into the race. All they could do was make plans for Fort Myers. While the open class raced on a leg that took them out to sea, the modified class got its start. Top boats to watch here were Baja Bandit, Smiling Jacks, who finished second at Treasure Cay, and East Coast Marine. But it was Love It Again that set the early pace, Smiling Jack second, Special Edition third, and Blue Max, piloted by Crystal Gerstner, who's the only woman driver in the race. By the way, her dad, Jerry, is her racing partner. Those modifieds sure can stretch it out as they blaze across the sparkling waters. M19, Love It Again, driven by Michael Lehman of Key Biscayne. The third group to get going was the Pro Stock, the P-52 Longshot, who won this class at Treasure Cay 2 weeks before, and Bandit, a sleek white and red boat, took the early lead with Tom Bates at the helm. Tom had his boat working smoothly. He's powered by Mercury outboard rather than inboard. Once past the 7-mile bridge, the waters change, and they must decide how best to adapt to the conditions. P4, Captain America, came up to give Longshot some competition. What a package, P73 is third. In the modified, we got a good look at a 3-man crew as they cruised along the waters. You'll notice that all 3 operate in unison. That to make the boat perform at its peak. Certainly a great shot from our helicopter. But like in all races, some boats ran into engine trouble. 3 early leaders dropped out. Love It Again in the modified, US 1 Seahawk, and Jesse James in the open were all forced out. And at the finish wire, in the open class, Seahawk 20 with Willie Falcone at the wheel came home to take the checkered flag. Systems 2 was second, and Molson Indy third. In the Pro Stock class, what a package. A 30-foot Shadow Cat with a father and son team of Dominic and Paul Palumbi of New Jersey. Captain America second, Bandit third, a very good race. For what a package, her first win. The modified Baja Bandit started last, but once up on plane, came on to win. Smiling Jack second, and East Coast Marine third. With 2 weeks to go before the Lee County race off Fort Myers Beach, the owners and drivers had plenty of time to work on their boats and try again. And that's how it was at Marathon in the Florida Keys, May the 3rd. Just how was it speed-wise May the 3rd there, Ernie?
Chris, until Jesse James with Chris and Mark Lavin broke down on the last checkpoint, their average speed was 109 miles an hour before their breakdown. So you can see each of these races, they're picking them up in speed. They're finding out more about these boats and their capabilities.
We understand now that the boats have left Cape Coral, are on their way over. We're attempting now to get a helicopter shot, and we'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
Harborage, designed for family fun. Offered by Harvey Youngquist and ARC Realty.
Here's Tom Kennedy for National Vanland with an important announcement.
National Vanland has just broken the $10,000 price barrier with a brand new 1986 custom conversion van for only $99.88. That's just $179.73 a month. National Vanland is Southwest Florida's only volume van dealer, the dealer with the brand new 86 custom conversion van for under $10,000. For the best selection of the best vans at the best prices, come to National Vanland, US 41, 3 miles south of the Bell Tower.
Okay, this is Chris Barnes, along with Ernie Schmidt, Tim Casoli, up on top of the Lani Kai on a bright, sunshiny day. A lot of fun and games going on down on the shore, and tell us all about it. Here's Carolyn Gussoff.
Thanks, Chris. If you're not out there on a boat or up on the roof of the Lani Kai, your best bet is to be here on the beach. A lot of people have gotten that message because there are literally thousands of people here. People have come from far away and people from Florida. But first, before we speak to them, I have two women here who I think you'd be interested in. We have Miss Regatta and Miss Runner-Up, and I understand you're on your way out to catch a boat. But first, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got this title?
Well, we had to turn in pictures to 107 Orange, and then we were chosen. 12 people were chosen, and then they narrowed it down to us.
And what's your name?
Robin Maker.
And you?
Lisa Scher.
Okay. Have you ever been to a powerboat race before?
Yes.
How do you like it so far?
I love it. It's so much fun.
Okay, good luck out there, and congratulations on your title. Now back to Chris Barnes on the roof of the Lani Kai.
Very nice, Carol. Thank you, and I love your company, too. Speaking of company, what's going to be happening here today is powerboat racing, and they should be getting underway roughly about 12 minutes from now. We need to know which way they're going to be racing here off Fort Myers Beach, and we have this course layout report from Michael Cannington.
For the second year in a row, the course layout for the Offshore Regatta is the same. Actually, there are two segments to the race, one long course and a short course. Open and modified boats will be the only ones racing on the long course, and they have to make just one trip around it. The first leg of their race, once past checkpoint 1, will send them 15 miles out into the Gulf. It's along this path that the boat should reach their top speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. A right-hand turn around checkpoint 2, and it's a sprint towards Sanibel Island, where they'll meet up with the other classes of boats on the short course. The boats race along the Sanibel shoreline to checkpoint 5, where they turn back to the east and move into the viewing range of spectators on Fort Myers Beach. After negotiating a pair of left-hand turns around checkpoints 6 and 7, the boats will scream northwards to the point of Fort Myers Beach. A 180-degree turn will send men and machine back past the start-finish line, the Lani Kai, and to checkpoint 1. The remainder of the short course is a straight shot out to checkpoint 3, and then a 90-degree left turn and up to checkpoint 4. Open and modified crews will make the one run on the long course and then 3 trips around the short course for a total of 146 miles. Pro stockers circle the short course 4 times, totaling 134 miles. Stock A and B boats make 3 trips around the short course for a journey of 101 miles, and finally the sportsman's class travels 67 miles by making 2 trips on the short course. Our coverage will concentrate on the top 3 boat classes: opens, which are 35 to 50-foot crafts that can hit speeds of 120 miles an hour; modifieds, designated with an M beside their numbers, can reach speeds of 110 miles per hour. Pro stockers, 23 to 40-foot boats, top out at 90 miles per hour. But it's a safe bet to say all classes participating will have plenty of exciting moments, making the 1986 offshore races the best yet.
Okay, before we start talking about all the boats that are going to be in the race and everything like that, Ernie, briefly, how do you feel about this course?
Chris, it's a good course. It is set up to both give them some high-performance speed running and also an offshore challenge, particularly for the modified and the open class boats. So you're going to see a lot of action out there today, particularly on television with the coverage we've got.
Okay, when we get back, we'll be talking about the boats, the lineup. Tim's going to join us because he knows what the fellows are going through right at this moment. Folks, we'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is currently offering this 130-acre tract just to the north of the Southwest Florida Regional Jetport. With frontage on Daniels Road, it is in the land use plan as airport commerce. This 750-acre parcel is located on the northwest corner of I-75 and Alico Road. The acreage can be divided and is in the land use plan as industrial commercial interchange. For more information on these properties and others, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
Considering a new air conditioner?
This one's about had it.
Be careful choosing a replacement. You could make a 10-year mistake.
What can I do about it?
Call Island Air. Their expert technicians will give you a free second opinion. Let them take a look before you make any replacement decision. If your air conditioner can be repaired, they'll do it. If it needs replacement, they offer quality York, Train, or Carrier products at easy-to-swallow prices.
A 10-year mistake?
Island Air will help you make the right decision with a free second opinion.
Today at 1:30, there's more boating action with the Formula One Powerboat races. And at 2 this afternoon, it's an Indianapolis 500 special, setting the pace. That all comes up following our exclusive offshore race coverage here on WEVU TV, Southwest Florida's leader in sports television. Well, those boats should be coming along and into sight very shortly. Ernie, how about talking about some of those? Let's start with the open. You and Tim on the open.
All right, Chris, there is one class that is not here today, and that's the Superboat class. They will only be competing in 4 of the APBA races this year. They chose to do that because this year the World Championships will be moving to New Zealand, and the Superboat class is not a recognized class worldwide. So rather than go through the grueling circuit of 10 races, they chose to highlight those boats in only 4 races this year. But starting here is one of the fastest open class fields that probably has ever been assembled. Tim, I wonder if you'd go through these for us.
Sure, Ernie. This assemblage is one of the finest crews and equipment in the world today. In the US-1 boat named Seahawk, we have Sal Magluta driving and Gus Falcone on the throttles. This is a very fast 36-foot aluminum Cougar Cat. Number 3 boat is Jesse James. It's a 35-foot Chris craft with Mark Lavin on the throttles and Chris Lavin at the driver's position. Number 7, we have Systems, a 38-foot Cougar, black hull and deck, driven by Bob Kaiser and throttled by the infamous Earl Lanier. Number 8, we have a new addition to the lineup. It's called Cigarette Hawk. It's a 39-foot Cigarette, driven by Craig Barry and throttled by Gary Smith, with Burton Loro in there as navigator. Number 20 is Team Seahawk. This is a 38-foot Cougar catamaran, which is a co-team member of the US 1 boat. This boat is throttled by Justo J and driven by Willie Falcone. Number 65 is Daddy Cool 2. This is a unique situation. Art Swift is probably the oldest racer out here. He tells everyone he's 39, but I'm sure he's told me it's classified, but I'm sure it's in excess of 65 years old.
Jim, he comes from Naples, Florida, now lives down there right now.
Sure, he's a local, and he's been going to these races. He decided, hey, now it's my turn. I want to get out there, and he's been doing a heck of a job. Another new entry we have is number 66. That's the Molson Indy. This is a 38-foot Cigarette, driven by Lauren Leibel, throttled by Keith Hazel. Number 69 or number 96, that is the question. These are the two Team Apache boats. Number 69 is the DV, and number 96 is the catamaran. Of course, any given driver can only drive one boat at a time, and we'll find out at the starting line which one he chose.
Going into the modified class, Chris, we've got 10 entries there. The first is M1, Baja Bandit 2. It's a 33-foot Baja driven by Douglas Smith, throttled by Larry Foch. Love It Again, which is one of the fastest boats on the circuit, M19, a 30-foot Shadow. Mike Lehman, Gary Billingsley, Orlando Lorenzo will be in that boat. M65, one of the few outboards that runs in the modified class. Joey Imprescia with Ken Calabat will be in a 32-foot Super Cat. M66 Special Edition. This is the boat that set the new course record of 103 miles an hour at Treasure Cay. A 30-foot Chris Cat with John D'Elia and John Digger Durgans will be in that boat. Smilin' Jacks, which is almost a sister boat. M80, another 30-foot Chris Cat with Jack Bishop and Dave Gilmore on the throttles. Number 99, one of the lady entries in this, Blue Max, a 32-foot active cat with Crystal Gershner in it, with Jerry Gershner throttling. Number 11, back for the first time this year, is Don Weinstein with Dominic Santarelli in a 32-foot Cougar. And the last entry in the modified class, Cayo Huso Express, a 30-foot Image Shadow Cat with Mike Horn driving.
Okay. Yeah, we need to keep an eye out for that orange smoke because that'll signal 3 minutes to the beginning of the races as we run these boats down for you. They're supposed to be starting at 11:15, and that's just about 3 minutes away from now. So why don't we continue on with the Pro Stock while we keep an eye out for that.
Okay, in Pro Stock class, we have boat number 2. Pro Stock is designated by a P that precedes the number. This is ACR Spirit. This is a new boat on the circuit. It's a 32-foot Maelstrom, driven by Pete Marzano, throttled by Pete Marzano with Bernard Rice in the boat. P4 is Captain America. It's a 30-foot Chris Cat driven by Omar and throttled by Eddie Martinez, a well-known throttle man from some of the earlier days. Number P40 is Agitator, a 30-foot Shadow Cat driven by Alan Dunneman and throttled by Kirk Dunneman.
Okay, Tim, before you continue on, our control below tells us that we believe the start of the race has been delayed anywhere from maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So there'll be a start of the race somewhere in the neighborhood of 11:25 or 11:30. So we can go on with the boats now.
All right, Chris, that'll probably give us time to cover these entries so that if somebody's following it on TV or has a favorite out there, we can put them up to date as to where they are and what class they'll be running in.
Number P44, Captain America, which is a 30-foot Chris Cat hull, and it's driven by Maynard Hellman and throttled by David Marcus. Number P52 is a 24-foot skater boat driven by Mike Dalwitz and throttled by Ed Collier. P77 is High Risk, another 24-foot skater cat driven by Richard Felsen and throttled by Jay Forgione. P72, what a package. This is a New Jersey boat. It's a 30-foot Shadow Cat driven by Dominic Palumbi and throttled by his son, Paul Palumbi. P-74 is another New Jersey boat. It's driven by Wayne Vince. This is a 30-foot Shadow Cat. Very, very fast boat, and I think we'll see a lot of action from him. An old favorite on the circuit is P-84. This is a 32-foot, very low-profile, very fast Cougar catamaran, driven by Tom Bates and throttled by Al Schwanke. And number P-177 is the Baja Bandit. This is a 30-foot Baja hull, driven by James Brown and throttled by Bob Baer.
Chris, those are the what we refer to as the APBA big boat classes, but there's some classes down below that deserve equal coverage, equal comment, really, because these guys are out there in the same water conditions, running under the same situation that the big boats are.
Right, and we're going to run those down. Just another reminder, as we told you a few seconds ago, the start of the offshore powerboat race is delayed from 10 to 15 minutes. We're not exactly sure, but we will not have a start before 11:25 at the earliest. We watched the people having a good time down on the beach. Now, tell us about these other boats, Ernie.
All right, down in the Stock A and Stock B classes, these are really essentially the same type of boat you could almost go into a showroom and buy. They have been modified slightly and certainly put in a race boat configuration. There's nothing real exotic about these boats from the standpoint of modification of engines or the fuels they run. In the Stock A class, the current national high point champion, Bob Erickson, driving the AME 4000 Express. This is a 24-foot skater. Team Paradox from Sarasota, Florida, Paul Kesslering with Grant Ellsby in the boat, a 25-foot cat. Smooth Operator S14 is another 24-foot skater with Stephen Carrier and Andy Frost. That boat is currently leading this year's point standing in the Stock A class. S44 Breakaway, this is a 24-foot skater. It's driven by the son of John D'Elia, J.D. D'Elia, from Greenwich, Connecticut. And Miss Don Q, number S88, another 24-foot skater, Felix Cerarellis. Also in that boat is Juan Cerarellis. In the Stock B class, there are 3 boats entered at the present time. These boats are S2, captain maintained, a 30-foot Velocity, Bill Kay and Larry Reefer. S16, fully involved, and he is currently leading the point standing in the Stock B class. This boat's a 26-foot Carsa, with Joseph Sarantino and his son Joe Jr. in the boat, along with Skip Kreiner. S25 Phantom, a 25-foot Phantom with John Scarpetti and George Scarpetti. And there was one late entry in that class, and this is a boat called Obsession that will be running in the Stock B class well. In the sportsman's classes, these are the true stock boats. These boats are basically rigged as boats that can be sold to the general public. In the Sportsman A class, we will have boat number A2, Chickabob, a 22-foot Velocity with Keith Staub and Alan Levy. A13, Cigarette Frenzy, a 21-foot Cigarette that will be running in that class with Steve Bonzo and Scott Lehman. A19, CNS Marine, a 24-foot Cigarette with Steve Keitel and Randy Fowler. In the Sportsman's B class, 2 boats entered. B99, Secret Formula, a 30-foot Formula with Scott Porter, the son of the president of Thunderbird Products, and Vic Spellberg. And also another Seahawk entry that will be running in the Sportsman's B class.
I understand that's no relation to the Seahawk team, the 20 and the US 1.
No, this is a totally different boat. The other 2 are almost sister boats with the same types of engine packages in them. In the Sportsman C class, 1 boat, C7, Lipship, a 24-foot skater with Michael Lipschutz and Milton Lipschutz, who will be driving that boat. That comprises about 41 boats that will be entered in the race today.
Okay, now the folks down here, after the start of the race has been delayed for a few more minutes, they're taking advantage. They're out on going for a swim and cooling off. It's a lot of hot sunshine on the beach below us, but the folks are enjoying a good time. What does it mean to these people in the boats, the navigators, the throttlemen, and the drivers, to have a delay such as this? Tim?
I'll tell you, the worst thing that can possibly happen is a delay. Everyone's keyed in to take off at a given time. You have your fuel allocated to run a certain distance and, of course, stay running for a certain period of time. The adrenaline is pumping, and these guys are anxious to take off.
And we're anxious to have them take off. We see, is that just a big balloon or a little blimp we see out there? See it directly over the big boat way out there?
Chris, it's off the start-finish line. That is one of the boats that's directly on the start-finish line here at Fort Myers Beach.
Now, the start-finish line last year was off the Lani Kai, and they've changed that.
They've changed it slightly. It's about 500 to 600 yards north of us. It's right at the T-pier off of Fort Myers Beach this year.
Okay, we talked a little bit ago about the orange smoke off the boat. When that goes, that's a 3-minute signal for us.
Yes, at that point, Chris, there's a lot of things that happen. Number one, all your safety gear is checked at that point. Your kill switches are checked to make sure that they're operating properly and they're put aside. Everything in the boat at that point has to be stored so that it can't bounce around and hurt you when you take off for that start. So this adrenaline is pumping, and these guys are checking all their systems and getting ready to run.
What's the most memorable experience or memory for you on a start?
Probably the most memorable experience was here last year. We had just christened a 37-foot Chris Cat, and at the start of the race, we just walked away from the field being super boats and open boats, and I'd say, Chris, after 5 miles of racing, we had a 1-mile lead. That was real exciting.
Ernie, you've been around this game a long time. How often do you run into these delays of the races?
Oh, Chris, it's not unusual, and it doesn't mean they're having a problem. It just, you've got to understand, to crank up 40 boats, get them all out of the same pit area, and get them the distance that they've had to come from Cape Coral out here to the start line, it just takes a little bit of time to pull all that together. So it's not unusual in this type of event to expect a 10, 15-minute delay.
Okay, our helicopter just went over as Ernie was talking. We see some pictures from them, and they're circling the course around here. They'll have a very good look at the race. They'll be able to go down this first leg for us, and then they'll kind of leapfrog the copters around to keep us right up to date with what boats are where.
With 2 helicopters offshore today, Chris, and on that long leg, they will be out there in some of the rough water, and I fully expect that you're going to see some spectacular shots that you've really never been able to see before on live television, because as you get further offshore with the wind blowing the way it is, it's beginning to start to shift around more towards the south-southwest. And as it does that, these seas offshore are going to start building up more and more. By the end of this race, you could fully expect anywhere from 4 to 6 foot seas off on the offshore leg of that. So these 2 helicopters should have some spectacular footage by the time this race is over.
There you get one of our helicopter shots there, Ernie.
Yes, and as they get offshore out there, you'll begin. That is not one of the race entries that you see there, Chris. He doesn't have a number on, and I'm not sure what class that would be.
I hope he's with us in his classification, whatever. A little while ago, I wasn't sure. I saw a little automobile skimming along the water out there.
Yeah, there was a little Volkswagen running around out there, and I'm not sure what was under him, but he seemed to be doing all right. In fact, he passed a couple of boats.
There you see part of the boats coming over now, I guess, from Cape Coral, and they come over all together.
Yes, they do, Chris. They essentially go out of the pit area, mix together, and what they do is when they get to the what we call the milling area, where they go in a clockwise rotation, they at that point divide into the various classes and essentially get ready for the start. We don't know if we're going to have the open boats start with the modified boats today, but nonetheless, they do divide into the respective classes.
Okay, Ernie, estimate of the crowd there from our helicopter. How many people are on the beach?
Chris, as far as the eye can see, this beach is loaded. You can look to the south all the way around the point, and it's packed there. The boats even go all the way around the point this year, which is the first time I've ever seen that in the 6 years of offshore racing that has been going on here at Fort Myers. So it's got to be one of the largest crowds that's ever attended a boat race.
Well, you know, it's putting me in mind of, it's not as large as, but puts you in mind of the America's Cup races that I worked on. 3 of those off Newport, Rhode Island, and they have those tremendous spectator ships in there.
There are some of your boats coming in now. They're coming in off planes, so they're apparently approaching the mill area, I would guess. That's a helicopter shot coming in there.
Okay, and we'll be picking up those boats, and we're hoping for a start. We're already about 9 minutes later than we had anticipated. We have a helicopter over here. How many copters do you think we'll be seeing at the outset of this thing, Ernie?
Chris, they normally start with about as many helicopters in the air as you have race boats. A lot of these crews like to see helicopter footage of how their boat runs in the water. You got to remember, they're in that cockpit. All they can do is adjust the trim of the boat and watch the water conditions. They have no opportunity to really see how that boat's running in the water, what its trim conditions are, what type of prop wake they're throwing, a rooster tail. It helps an awful lot to see that footage.
Now, your remarks bring up another question to my mind. Both you and Tim can get in on this one. We have these boats, we have these races year in and year out. We get a lot from the races, though, that go into other boats that the folks can buy as a stock boat.
Well, of course, that's why Chris Crafts, particularly, and Mercury, you know, spend so much time and action and effort in offshore, because whatever they develop on the circuit is built right into their production boats.
Okay. Folks, we'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is proud to announce they are taking reservations for home sites at the Harborage. The Harborage in South Fort Myers is a total waterfront community with over 100 acres of freshwater lakes as well as access to the Gulf. All lots are waterfront with full underground utilities and security controlled. There are only 134 home sites in the Harborage, and over 70% are already reserved. To make your reservation, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
The thrills continue on the next Lifestyles. Brooke Shields' extraordinary adventure as she checks into the world's most unusual hotel on a 2,000-mile out-of-Africa safari. Country and Western rebel Waylon Jennings' incredible fight back after destroying his fortunes. And the wild and wacky things millionaires buy. A priceless 12th century castle, an island in Fiji, and your very own private army. All this and more on the next Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Saturday at 7 on WEVU TV.
Serving all of Southwest Florida, this is WEVU TV.
Today at 5 o'clock, it's the second leg in horse racing's Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. Kentucky Derby winner Ferdinand will be in that field today at 5 here on WEVU TV, Southwest Florida's leader in sports television. Okay, Ernie and Tim, what's our situation with the boats at this moment?
I would venture that most of them are approaching the mill area right now. We've seen helicopter footage, and it looks like they're down there. We'll be looking for that 3-minute orange flare here just shortly. But Tim has been out there on this race course, and as he mentioned just a second ago, coming down through what we refer to as a chute is just one of the most spectacular things that a racer does. Tim, I wonder if you describe it from a cockpit.
Well, Ernie, you know, you get that green flag, and of course, it's throttles down and pedal to the metal. You've got boats on one side of you, and on the other side, you've got beach, and there's approximately a quarter of a mile in between. It sounds like a lot of room, but quite frankly, when you're going at speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour, that's not really a lot. We've got a lot of boats at this start, and the adrenaline is flowing. It's very, very exciting. These boats are racing to checkpoint 1. Some of these boats will exceed 120 miles an hour and then attempt to negotiate a 100-degree turn out to checkpoint 2. Now, let me tell you, that is some feat. That is some feat. I remember in 1984, I went to make that turn, and I didn't have any steering at that speed. I had to slow down to get around checkpoint 1.
That's another thing they talk about, safety. Going around the checkpoints, a boat being on the outside, one on the inside. Careful they don't close over on a fellow too closely.
Yeah, Chris, generally these boats will have either 2 or 3 men in each boat, and each one of them has a very definite responsibility. You've got the driver. He is controlling the boat as far as steerage goes. Then you've got the throttle man, and you give me a good throttle man, and you'll give me a winning boat, because that guy is the key to it. On these starts, he is the most frantic guy in a cockpit you've ever seen. He's got 2 throttles. He's watching his tacks to be sure both those engines are coming up properly. And he's got 2 sets of trim controls in there. He's addressing the trim tabs, the lower units. You just don't bother that guy when that boat's coming on plane.
Now, at Marathon, I think it was Systems, isn't it? Bob Kaiser and Systems had that spin out?
Bob Kaiser and Earl Lanier, and you got to remember, that's only the 2nd time they'd been in that boat. He cut a corner too sharp. What happens in doing that, the boat slowed down, he hooked the nose, and he did a 180 just right on its nose.
What's going through your mind at that point, Tim?
Well, I'll tell you, that is a very, very scary situation, because when the boat gets so far around, there's absolutely nothing you can do. If you have a little power sometimes, that's the best thing to do is just apply everything you've got. But in that particular situation, the boat was just too far sideways, and just hold on.
Oh. Okay. Good caution.
The Harborage, designed for family fun. Offered by Harvey Youngquist and ARC Realty.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
If your present office telephone system needs frequent service, that hurts. If you aren't getting same-day service, that hurts even more. And if your system isn't designed to grow with your future business needs, that isn't a little hurt, that's a disaster. Telephone support systems provide solutions, not patch jobs. If your requirements are between 2 lines with 2 phones to 30 lines and 100 phones or more, call Telephone Support Systems, the first company in Florida, selected as an authorized distributor for Southwestern Bell Telecom.
Okay, Chris Barnes along with Ernie Schmidt. Tim Chisoli working with us on top of the Lani Kai on a magnificent day for Powerboat racing. If you tuned in and wondered why the race hasn't started as yet, it's 11:31:30 according to my watch. They were supposed to go at 11:15. They had a delay. They told us it would be 10 to 15 minutes. It's beyond that point right now. Ernie, you and Tim up there, what are you seeing out there in the water right now?
Okay, we just got a report on the race boat channel that there are 3 minutes to start, so they should be on an orange smoke here just like right now, coming up on plane to the start-finish line in about 3 minutes.
Okay, very good, Ernie. I'm going to put all these books and everything. Erica, you want to take all that? And I'm going to take the microphone and go on up there with the boys and to see the start of this race. 3 minutes to that orange flag, and what will they be doing in those 3 minutes before the race?
They'll be sitting there as nervous on a cat on a hot tin roof. I tell you, right now, what they go through, Chris, adrenaline is a tremendous thing, and the adrenaline is just really flowing right now. These guys have psyched themselves up for about an hour and a half to 2 hours of some of the most competitive racing they'll ever go through. About an hour into that race, it's like round 15 of a fight. These guys literally will become punch drunk out there. They're relying then on instinct, on reflex, and just being in good physical condition. And offshore racing has changed, as Tim, I think, can verify that back when we were running about 60 miles an hour 5 or 6 years ago, it didn't require the same stamina or mental capability.
I'll tell you, offshore racing has become an intense physical challenge, a mental challenge, a technological challenge, and as you mentioned, an emotional challenge. Right now, I'm sure we've got heartbeats sitting down somewhere around 160 beats per minute, and that's serious.
Yes, I think what we'll see, depending, and we still don't know if the open and the modified classes will be coming through at the same time.
We're looking at the committee boat now.
Yes, what you see out there is one of the boats that's right at the start-finish line, which is off of T Pier. We'll have camera coverage of the finish of the race here. and also be interviewing some of the drivers as they come in for their final lap.
It looks as though we're not going to find out whether they're going to start the open and modified together or separately until they come up on the milling area and then on plane.
We'll simply have to call that as they come down, but that'll be very easy to do. It'll just be the size of the fleet, and we can recognize that immediately.
Well, you've been in these races, both of you. What do you look for? What would you like to have? Would you like to see 16 boats starting at one time or 2 separate starts of 8 boats?
Well, you know, we've had starts with as much as 20 boats in the field. Of course, this is what we call a narrow chute, but as Ernie mentioned before, the open boats have enough speed on the modified boats, for the most part, that they'll run ahead of the modified boats. There are a couple exceptionally fast 30-foot Chris Cats, John D'Elia, special edition, having one, and of course Smiling Jack's the other. These boats are essentially identical, and they have speeds in excess of 108, 109 miles an hour filled with fuel. They will be serious contenders at the start of this race.
If anything, Chris, it looks like the wind's laying down. I've just kind of been watching the water conditions, the waves lapping up, and in the last 20 minutes or so, the wind's laid down probably to about 5 or 8 miles an hour. It's flattening out here in the chute, and if that's any condition, I think you can see 100-mile-an-hour speeds very easily. It looks like they're coming down for a start right now, Chris.
Okay, Ernie, you're in a better vantage point than I am right here now. Let's see what's happening.
Chris, I see 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. It looks like probably open and modified class will be starting at the same time because there are more than 9 boats out there on the start. So they'll be coming down probably with an open and a modified start.
Okay, there we can see the beach area, the pier area.
That's
which
the
is
T-pier. You can see them. That is the start line right there. They should get a green flag as they come by the T-pier. Once they do, you'll hear the roar of those engines, and you'll see 17 boats going flat out just as fast as they can get them trimmed. You see the big rooster tail on one of the boats. That is probably one of the Seahawk boats, which has the Cama drive or the sea drive system in it from Second Effort. That is a surface drive system. They throw a much larger rooster tail than some of the other boats do.
Okay, we got to start.
This is a modified and open class start.
And here they come, right by our cameras on top of the Lani Kai.
And you see 3 of the modified boats out front right now, Chris. They are actually pulling some of the open class boats, and Apache is in his maelstrom, number 96. The last boat across the line is M7, the Baja Bandit. We understand he did have problems in the pit.
And the Baja also had trouble in his last race at the very beginning, too.
That is correct. He has problems coming up on plane. One of the boats that I did not see out there was Jesse James.
We'll have a message relayed to one of our helicopters to look out and see if they saw the Jesse James and what position it was in. All right, let's find out now. Here's Mike Cannington in Chopper 1. What do you see, Mike?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
Chris, we're flying right behind the boats. We didn't see the Jesse James. We saw him when he was in the pits, but we haven't been able to catch up to see if he did make it out of the pits or not.
Okay, that's one of our first things to check on today, Tim, is to find out where is Jesse James.
I don't know. I guess they got the posse out after him today. You know, these boats right now are approaching speeds that are probably going to exceed that of the helicopter coming to checkpoint 1. So they're probably up somewhere near 120 miles an hour now, coming into turn 1. They got to, at that point, negotiate over a 100-degree turn. Now, we know what a 90-degree turn is. This is a little bit more. And at speeds exceeding 120 miles an hour, that is some feat, believe me.
Okay, while we check on the boys going down that first turn, what are we looking for now?
All right, the P-Stock, or the Pro Stock class, will be coming through the chute next. It'll probably take about 2 or 3 minutes to bring them up because the pace boat has got to go back, pick them up out of the mill area, and bring them across the start line. The pace boat is on the way back now, and in about a minute and a half, we should see the Pro Stock class come through.
What did you feel about that start? Do you think it was a good one?
Yeah, it was a great start. They had a rolling start somewhere between 75 and 80 miles an hour, and the boats were lined up properly. There wasn't a lot of crisscrossing. It was what I would consider to be a very safe start.
Okay, Tim, we can look to our left down there and see the boats.
Yeah, they're heading out to checkpoint 2 right now. Checkpoint 2 is the long leg, and of course this is where they're going to encounter the choppiest leg on this course. I suspect once they get about 6 or 7 miles out where the water gets a little deeper, these guys are going to be spinning and grinning in 4 to 5 foot seas.
Okay, and Ernie down there, what do you see at this point?
I'm trying to pick them up on the helicopter footage, Chris, and it's just not close enough to where you can get an idea. There's one boat out there, though, that is gaining a substantial lead. If you get me to guess, I'd bet on Sal Magooda and Seahawk 1, because it's just like in horses. You bet on the jockey, and he knows how to do it. He's been there before. He's a national champion last 2 years in a row. And if anybody's going to be out front early on, Sal's going to push it to the front.
Okay, after you get around that first turn, you headed down that long leg. What are the navigators thinking right now?
Well, you know, when you go around a turn, of course, your compass card on your compass is just spinning wildly. So what happens is you negotiate your turn, and of course you give your compass a chance to calm down. At that point, your navigator wants to check his course, to get lined up for checkpoint 2, and then you can see a little crisscrossing going on there. Of course, everyone vying for position, and of course taking what they think is the quickest route to point 2.
Okay, Ernie, go ahead.
We've got the Pro Stock class coming up at this time. They'll be crossing the start line here in about another 200 yards. And this should be all of the Pro Stock class boats.
Okay, they're coming to get you there, Ernie. I hear the sirens in the background.
Looks like they're all starting. We've got a 10-boat starting field that I can count coming across the line.
Okay, good. This will be our second start, and these are the Pro Stocks.
Yes, these boats can carry an average speed of 90, so you've got a number of boats here that even have the capability in this kind of water for 100-mile-an-hour speed. So these aren't slow boats at all. They're coming across our area right now, and it looks like some of the little boats, there's Longshot out in front right now, and these are the little 24-foot skaters, but here comes Bandit, P-84.
And we see last boat here, we're trying to make out his name. We got a green flag.
That is Bandit, and that is also P-44, Captain America, which is one of the 2 Captain America entries.
I'll tell you, the speeds on these boats are just getting incredible, Ernie, with averages touching 94 miles an hour over a 150-mile course. From what was once a production boat, these speeds are just absolutely awesome.
We talked about P-44 being next to last there. I noticed that P-4, which is the one that Omar is driving, the Captain America, was about second, but way up close to the spectator fleet.
Yes, at this point, it makes no difference where you are on that course, because over a 130 to 140-mile race, the start as to position is just not that important, Chris. They'll settle down out on the course. They'll get one behind the other unless they're trying to pass. And out there, that's where the horse race gets going.
Okay, what is the key? Where's the first key to a race? After you start the race, what's the first big key for you?
I would say every throttle man's dream is to be the first to checkpoint 1. Essentially, that's normally the calmest parts of the courses, and you can really stretch the boats out, get up to speed, and see who's done what between the races. So you can pick up 5 to 6 miles an hour between races if you do your homework, dialing in a new boat. So I'm sure everyone, especially with these conditions, is pushing as hard as they can to get to checkpoint 1.
Chris, if you look off on the distance, you'll see the rooster tails of the open class and the modified class disappearing over the horizon. They're out on that one long run that they will make, the long leg of the course.
That's approximately 12 to 15 miles?
12 miles out, I believe it is. They will actually disappear from our view, and this is the long leg. This is where compass and the navigator, if there's one on board, become very important, because he's watching that compass and he wants to know where he's going.
You know, it was interesting. I was talking to one of the helicopter pilots yesterday that takes the navigators and the drivers out to check the course out the day before. And he told me that checkpoint 2, there was something happening that he had never seen before. There were approximately 1,000 sharks milling around that checkpoint 2 area. And, I mean, you have all kinds of challenges. The last thing you want is to see 1,000 sharks by checkpoint 2.
Chris.
Just a second, Ernie, because we're going to switch from here and go to our helicopter and a report from Mike Cannington.
Just came on plane.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, sir. We are out here running along with the open class boats. We are probably right now about 5 miles out. The Seahawk boats are just blowing the field away. We are currently running almost 120 miles an hour, and we cannot even come close to staying up with these boats. And one of the Seahawk boats, we haven't been able to tell which one is he's probably a half a mile ahead of everybody else. The closest competitor is his sister boat. So we are heading out towards checkpoint 2 and trying to stay up with these boats, and we'll have more for you once we get back into range.
Okay, Michael Cannington, thank you very much. Jesse James has started, Ernie.
Chris, just as they feared, this was Chris and Mark Lavin's greatest fear, is in that mill area, they could not get on plane, and that is exactly what happened. They have just now been able to break that boat over on plane. And here comes Daddy Cool also, Art Swift.
Well, how long do you have to get back into the race once the race has started? You're not up there.
Right now, Chris and Mark are about 10 to 12 minutes behind the lead boats. Here comes the start of the stock classes. Stock A and B are coming across the start line at the present time. These are, like I say, some of the production classes. They will be running the shorter course today.
Jim, now the race started a few minutes ago, and Jesse James was not available there. How long did he have before he'd be disqualified, or is there a time on that?
No, I think you have 20 minutes after the start of the race in which to commence your start. He is, like Ernie said, 10 to 12 minutes behind, and that is a tremendous disadvantage in a race like this. However, if there's any boat that can make up the distance, that's the boat to do it.
The Pro Stock, or the Stock A and B, just came across the start line, and you've got 4 of the little 24-foot skaters all in the lead, all within 10 yards of each other right now. If those 4 boats hold together, Chris, they're going to come in about that way at the end.
It used to be that that they used to, in the production stock class, they used to have the deep Vs with the catamarans, and just everyone realized that the catamarans had such a speed advantage that they actually broke them up into separate classes.
You know, the big boats got going. They went by here so fast it was hard to read all of them going through. These are a little easier to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. However, I'll tell you, they still go very, very fast, and because of the size of the boat, they present a very similar challenge to the crew as that of the open class boats. The open boats are larger and, of course, can handle the water much better.
We're watching these a lot easier as they go down here, and it makes it good for all the spectators down there. They get a chance to pick them out.
When you get these little outboards, especially the DV screaming, they're watching the gunnels, chine walking back and forth, of course, trimming to the max to get the most amount of speed out of their boat. So they're fun to watch.
Okay, and will we have one more start? That's it.
Yes, we'll have one more start coming down, and this is the sportsman's class. This is the smaller classes of boats. They'll run the shortest course, and this is another change they've made this year in offshore racing. They have changed the lengths of the course depending on the boat's speeds in order to try to bring them in as close as they can to the finish, with all classes finishing within a few minutes of each other.
Mm-hmm. Would driver Tim start out maybe in the smaller class and work his way up to the bigger boats, or how's that work?
Well, there's no doubt about it. Anyone who feels they can jump behind the wheel of an open class boat and go out and win has got another thing coming. It's interesting to see the transition from drivers that do very well in a lower class when they jump up into a higher class. Of course, it's a relearning process, and they've got to gain respect for that additional speed. And their crew has to be a lot sharper because things are happening much, much faster than they are in, let's say, a production boat.
Mike Cannington in that helicopter was saying that the Seahawks were really going to town out there.
Chris, like I said, between Willie Falcone and Sal Magruder, you've got 2 of the veteran open class offshore drivers. That's the Maelstrom boat that you see on the screen at the present time. This boat is a 41-foot Maelstrom Cat. This is the boat that we were talking about. Ben Kramer commented he was going to make a decision before the start of the race. Do I go Cat? Do I go V-bottom? Here comes the start of the sportsman's classes, and one of the boats out front is a C-class boat, actually, C7. And you've got an A, B, and a C class here. A class should be your bigger class, B next, and then the C class. You had 3 boats starting in A class and 2 or 1 in each of the other classes. All 5 of them have made the start, so it looks like they're all on the course.
You know, we talked about Seahawk there for a minute. I'll tell you, he is really a class act, Ernie. This is a guy that's been racing for 5 or 6 years now. In 1983, He was national champion in a deep V and modified class. In 1984, he stepped up to a open class boat, which is being run right now by Willie Falcon. He was national champion and edged me out by 53 points. And of course, last year, he, in a new boat, in a 36-foot Cougar, national champion again. The only thing that's eluded him, Ernie, has been the World Championship, and he wants that real bad.
That's correct, Tim. Although Seahawk teams do hold one World Championship, it is not Sal's at the present time. So Sal is out to prove a point, both in national point standings and in the Worlds.
These guys have a total commitment to offshore and to winning, and they spend money like it's going out of style, but they want to do one thing. They want to be first, and they don't care what stands in their way.
Okay, fellas, boats are gone out to sea on us here right now. What's happening way out on that long leg?
Well, I'll tell you, right now, everyone's settled into position. Everyone's assuming their particular roles in the boat. Navigation is critical, especially on the long leg, because you don't have any land formations or anything to really key on. So you're out there in the open water. You've got to find essentially a small boat that's bobbing somewhere 18 miles offshore, and those compasses have got to work real good for you.
Okay, let's go to a report from Chopper 1. Here's Mike Cannington.
Chris Barnes, there's big developments out here. As a matter of fact, the Seahawk boats, which were way out in the lead, missed the buoys out here in the boat. They went way off course. Team Apache, the boat you see right now, has a commanding lead, so big navigational problems for the Seahawk boats.
Now let's pick up what Michael Delaney has in Chopper 2. Michael? Okay, no audio from there. You just heard that report, Ernie.
On the screen is the Maelstrom boat right now, and if Seahawk's off course, it's going to give boats like Jesse James, if they stay on course, an opportunity to play some catch-up. The Jesse James boat, and it is legal this year. In the past years, it was not legal, but you can now put Loran systems in these boats. For those who don't understand Loran, it is a satellite navigation system, and these are accurate within a couple of feet. And with a good SATCOM navigation system in these boats, you stay on course all the way. And so if they're off course, every advantage that Jesse James can get, they need right now.
How do they rectify this situation, Tim?
Well, it's, like I said, it's going to be tough to make up 12 minutes. And that Seahawk boat, they have impeccable navigation. These guys are seasoned professionals, some of the best in the world. I think Jesse's going to have his hands full, especially in the water going out to checkpoint 2. I think that's going to be a little bumpier than the rest of the course.
Tim, Ernie, I think you have any kind of an update on what's happening for us?
No, I haven't heard anything other than they've got the pictures of Daddy Cool right now on the camera. Got to remember, in 160, 150 miles that they're going to cover out there, a 10-minute gap is not that much really at the speeds these boats are running. Jesse James at the marathon race had over a 5-mile lead when he broke down. Now that means he was probably running anywhere from 5 to 10 miles an hour faster than the rest of the boats that were in the field. So in an hour and a half, he can pick up 10 to 15 minutes very easily.
What happens when you miss a marker out there, Tim?
Well, when you miss a marker, that's a very devastating situation. For the most part, you're totally panic-struck. You really don't know what to do. Many times you go back to try to find where that marker was. But actually, nowadays, that really doesn't happen too often. You've timed how long it takes to get from point A to point B, and you know that if you go beyond that time, that you've missed that checkpoint, you better go back.
Okay, and of course, we just watched Art Swift in Daddy Cool. He went down 10 minutes after the start of the race in Marathon, and all he said, he'd bring his boat back to Naples, get it repaired, and be ready for Fort Myers, and he got off to a slow start here.
Chris, on the horizon, you can now see the rooster tails. They've made their far-out checkpoint, the furthermost checkpoint for the open-class boats. They are on the leg heading to checkpoint 4, which is going to take them over to Sanibel Island and the run along the beach.
Well, they'll be way out there in Sanibel, and Sanibel people get a good look at those boats, too.
Yes, Chris, you know, we don't have any reports from offshore. I guess they're probably out there in 3 to 4 foot seas right now, but that type of a sea condition is really no problem for these cats. I think that's probably why Ben Kramer made the decision to go with the cat instead of the V-bottom. He just knew that if he was going to be competitive, he had to have that cat out there to race with the rest of the guys.
There's no doubt about it, Ernie. In waters such as this, you know, the good rule of thumb is 4 feet and under, you got to take the cat out. And of course, the vast majority of this course looks like 1 to 2s, 2s to 3s. So the cat is really the perfect vessel to be in to get those speeds necessary to make a win on the offshore circuit.
Okay, fellas, and we'll be bringing you more live coverage of the Nissan 150 Powerboat race from Fort Myers Beach live right after this.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is currently offering this 130-acre tract just to the north of the Southwest Florida Regional Jetport. With frontage on Daniels Road, it is in the land use plan as airport commerce. This 750-acre parcel is located on the northwest corner of I-75 and Alico Road. The acreage can be divided and is in the land use plan as industrial commercial interchange. For more information on these properties and others, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Combine quality and style, add convertible comfort, and you'll find Castro Convertibles, the first name in fine quality convertible furniture since 1931. At Fort Myers' brand new Castro Convertible store, you'll appreciate savings of 20 to 40% throughout the store on hundreds of styles in 10 sizes and thousands of fabrics. See Castro Convertible recliners and ask about custom condo packages, beautiful furniture by day, a most comfortable bed at night.
Castro Convertibles.
Not that many helicopters today.
Okay, and we'll be having the New York Mets and the LA Dodgers for you tomorrow. And what a great year the Mets had, and the Dodgers are trying to catch up. And also the Indy 500 time trials all right here on WEVU. And that should be a lot of great coverage on Southwest Florida's leader in sports television. Okay, Ernie, we're back in here. What part of the course are we going on now? We had a little bit of seas. Now it seems to be smoother over around Sanibel.
Chris, they're hitting Sanibel Island right now, and Tim's been down that chute before.
I'll tell you, this is probably some of the calmest water on the course. You can run 50, 60, 70 yards off the beach. It's very, very shallow, very fast water, and I'm sure these guys are spinning and grinning out there right now at speeds approaching 120 miles an hour.
Okay, and while we're waiting for these boats to come around very shortly, we talked about safety throughout the day. We want to get to some of the equipment and the helmets if we can on our next break. Maybe we can do that now. Billy, if we can swing a camera around here on us right here on top of the Lani Kai, we'd like to explain to the folks exactly what a helmet looks like and how you wear it and all that about it. And I'll keep my eye on the sea while Ernie and Tim describe this safety equipment for you. Ernie?
Chris, what you've got, there are 2 pieces of safety gear that these drivers will have on during the course of the race, and this is mandatory.
Hang on, of course, everything's going along real fast. Do we need to go to chopper number 1 with Mike Cannington?
Well, Chris Barnes, we are running right alongside the Team Apache boat. We are moving around 110 miles an hour. We are approaching checkpoint 4, getting ready to run back to the east along the coastline of Sanibel. This man has no competition. A little while ago, back on the course, he actually slowed down. We were running alongside of him at 80 miles an hour. So the big navigational error by the other boats, primarily the 2 Seahawk boats, has really given Team Apache a commanding lead now. And we're going to keep running alongside him. Right now, we're coming up along all the boats along checkpoint 4, and we'll be turning back and heading your way. Chris.
Okay, Mike Cannington and Chopper, too. I should lay the ground rules here. When we introduce something such as talking about the helmet or safety equipment or whatever it may be, if there happens to be something coming up very rapidly with the helicopters, we're going to cut away and go to that helicopter. So don't think that we're just chopping the show up on you with no reason at all. We'll keep you up to date on the boats, where they are, and what's happening throughout this entire race. But we need to get in some of the other things that are very germane to powerboat racing, and safety equipment is one of them. How about that helmet now?
All right, Chris. This is one of two pieces of equipment that the driver will be wearing. This is a safety helmet. You'll notice on the side it's got a small insert for a communications cable, because all of these drivers have to communicate one with the other. They're not sitting side by side, and the engine noise and the air noise are such that they just can't talk to each other. So they've got a voice mic that is hooked into a communication system in the boat, and this is internally in the boat only. They will communicate by whether or not the engines are running properly, whether they're on course, and it is the only voice communications other than hand signals they've got. They'll generally be wearing some type of a face shield, either a shield such as this or goggles, because if they get behind another boat, or more critically, if they happen to stuff that boat out there and take a wave over, they've got to protect their head and their face as much as they can. In addition to this, the other piece of equipment is a life jacket. And this is the most critical piece of equipment that that driver will be wearing. These jackets are tested, and they must float the driver face up, and they have to, before they go into their boat at the first of the season, jump into a swimming pool in the face-down position, and without any movement, allow the jacket to turn them over and allow them to float upright. And this is, should the driver become unconscious, to keep him face up so that he can keep breathing.
Very good. Thank you very much. And as we go on throughout the day, we'll talk more about safety factors, and we'll have another report on safety, so forth. Tim, you got your back to the water right now. What are you seeing out there?
Well, it looks like the open boats now are starting to come up to checkpoint 6 and 7, where they get ready to come back through the harbor. Now, some of you may have noticed that they've been putting little orange buoys in the middle of the course. This is to tell the drivers and the crew essentially which way to go. You have opposing traffic coming at one another at 120 miles an hour, and it's crucial that each driver and crew stay on the side that's been designated for that particular leg. Coming up to
Chris, it looks like, seeing from here, there are 3 boats side by side out there, literally. If that is the Maelstrom boat in front, I would guess it is not going to be too far behind that you've got Seahawk.
And we have the helicopters right out on top of them, and we'll be following them in when we come here, and we'll be able to pick them out, and we'll be able to find out. It will be interesting to see if Jesse James has picked up any of that lost time that they had there, Tim.
Well, I'll tell you, this Maelstrom boat is running incredible. This is the best I've ever seen that boat run, and it looks like they have a slight lead. These guys are dicing it out at speeds in excess of 115 miles an hour, and they're getting ready to come into the harbor. This is where they really like to show their stuff for the fans.
And, of course, people are getting excited now once again as the boats come into view here. The Offshores went off about 11:35 or so, some 20 minutes late than usual. And also one of the things that happened, one of the real speedboats, one of the favorites in this, Jesse James, got a late stop. Here's Mike Cannington that we're going to now in chopper number 2.
Okay, Chris, we are about halfway between checkpoints 5 and 6, and the Team Apache boat just continues to just pull away from the pack. It looks like, from where we're sitting, that he has about a 3 to 4 mile lead over the rest of the boats. He is probably about a mile away now from checkpoint 6, and he is just, we've noticed just now that he has really turned the throttle on and ready to try to pull away from the rest of the field. Chris?
Okay, Mike, one of the other things, Ernie, that we'll have to take into consideration when they come back here, Team Apache's boat is out in front, but we still don't know whether they're using the V or the Cat.
It's the Cat. If that was the V-bottom, they would not be there, Chris, I can assure you. What it is, the P-class boats, as we mentioned, they take a shorter course. And coming into the harbor right now with Maelstrom in front are 2 of the pro stock boats. And as you watch these boats come by, what you're going to see is that Maelstrom is not pulling these 2 P-class boats that much. Seahawk must have made a tremendous navigational error out there to be that far behind Maelstrom, but the two little P-class boats right now are running right with him.
If you miss that marker out there like apparently Seahawk's done, what do you have to do to rectify it?
You have to go around that marker in order to be counted. So wherever they were, whichever way they were going, they have got to be recorded at that checkpoint by the official on the boat. Otherwise, they will not be counted around the course.
That doesn't sound like Seahawk to miss a navigational marker like that.
Generally, these guys have impeccable navigation. However, you never know. The water conditions, problems with the boat, and of course, just a misjudgment on the part of the navigator can mean that the boat's off course.
And of course, that could be the difference between winning and losing a race.
That's absolutely true. Navigation is critical, and it's unfortunately too many teams spend a lot of time on putting a boat together and engines that are fast, and they lose sight of the fact that it's the navigation that gets them around the course and gets them back home first.
Like we showed in when we were watching the marathon pictures of 3 men in the boat, they have to work in unison. You have to be a team if you're going to win.
This is a definite team, you know, and as Ernie said before, the communication in the boat is crucial. You essentially have two people doing very separate and distinct jobs, and the communication between those two people is absolutely crucial to have a winning team.
Ernie? These are the P-stock boats coming around right now. As we mentioned, they have taken the shorter course. They are actually coming in ahead of the open-class boats right now. P4, Captain America with Omar Eligre is in first place right now, with P74 in second place, and What a Package, Dominic Palumbo in third place.
And the What a Package, of course, was a winner last time out.
Yes, they were. That's a real fast boat. They set a kilo record 2 years ago in Wyandotte, Michigan, somewhere over 100 miles an hour. These boats are real close for having raced some 30, 40 miles so far, and I think we're going to see some great action coming up.
In fourth place right now is Bandit, P84, and in fifth place is Agitator. Now, one of the noticeable things, Longshot in a little 24 skater, as we mentioned, if the water's rough offshore, being one of the smaller boats in P-class, he was going to have his problems. And apparently that's holding true, because he is not in the top 6 boats.
Ernie, that's understandable. I'm sure going out to checkpoint 3 for these guys, I'm sure it was a little bumpy, and let's face it, a 30-foot boat is just going to be a little faster through that stuff than a 24-footer.
There's one of the first skaters coming in. He'll be running in 6th place, I believe it is. Yeah, that's Longshot. Longshot, who has so far dominated the P-class up to now.
That's right. They won at Treasure Cay.
They won at Treasure Cay. They were also in contention all the way at Marathon.
What about the seas now since the start of the race? Have they leveled out a little bit, or?
Yeah, they do seem like it does seem like it's laid down a little bit for these boats. We haven't seen the open boats come in yet, but I hear some loud noise on the horizon. I think that could be them.
Here comes the Maelstrom. This is Apache Maelstrom, the first open-class boat coming into the harbor right now. And looking back on the course, I do not even see yet the second open-class boat anywhere in sight. There he is, way on the backstretch is Seahawk. At this point, Maelstrom has probably anywhere from a 4.5 to a 5-mile lead over Seahawk.
To have such a commanding lead at this point, Ernie, is really just amazing. It's the best I've ever seen this boat run.
We're seeing the Pro Stocks go by us again here, Tim. It's getting a little hard to hear out here.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, they go down the course, they make their turn, and then come back by the pier. And like I said, this is the part where the drivers really like it, because they can hang the boat out and really give the fans a thrill.
Okay, we need to go to Mike Cannington at checkpoint 7. Michael?
Okay, Chris, we are sitting here right above checkpoint 7, and we can see the other open-class boats starting to come down. Team Apache obviously is way down closer to you guys, and it looks like, whichever one boat this is, it looks like another Seahawk boat.
Okay, a little bit of breakup there, and that's to be expected with all the choppers and everything going on here right now. But the Apache boat seems to be the story at this point in time.
Chris, obviously, he picked the right boat today. There's no question about that. And as Ben said in his comments before, he said, I'm going to go with the boat that runs the best for the water conditions. I'm not going to compromise anything. I've got the deep bay boat for rough water. I've got a cat for smooth water. And on race day, I'll pick my boat.
These boat racing drivers, the powerboat drivers, can they switch boats once the season? We need to go back to Mike Cannington and Chopper 2.
Okay, Chris, we are sitting again still above checkpoint 7, and I don't know if you can see, but the Seahawk boat has gone way offline, and he's actually bringing everybody else with him. Nobody else knows where to go, so the boats have gone way astray. Team Apache can keep its boat in the water. It looks like he's going to wrap this one up in easy style today.
Okay, Mike Cannington, good job up there, and let's see if we have any results so far as the boats continue to go by us right here. We understand from Mike Cannington, I don't know whether you could hear him or not, Ernie, that the Seahawk may have gone offline and taken a lot of the boats with them.
It looks like they just caught it because they almost came off plane. A big rooster tail kicked up behind them, and it looks like they said, hey, whoa, we're going the wrong way, and they have suddenly made a turn. They're trying to get turned around now to come back into the harbor. There are so many spectator boats out there. What they were looking at is the end of the spectator boat line rather than the shot between them where the entry into the harbor is again. Now they're on plane. They're actually going to come in on the wrong side of the boats going back offshore.
You know, it's really hard when you come into the beach. You see all these spectators. It's very difficult to pick out what's the checkpoint to turn on because there's so many boats that look alike. The only thing that differentiates it from a normal boat is a small 4x4 flag.
You remember about 3 or 4 years ago here, we had a whole division disqualified because of missing a marker?
Yes, that was the modified class, and essentially they missed the marker at the start of the race and didn't realize that they were all disqualified. That's called follow the leader, and that doesn't work very well in offshore racing.
Sometimes the leader doesn't know where he's going. There was a instance up in New Jersey where they were supposed to make a turn going offshore at one of the checkpoints. The lead boat missed it, and they all wound up out of gas up at Rockaway Beach.
Let's go from Rockaway Beach up to Mike Cannington and Chopper 2.
Okay, Chris, I don't know what you're basically seeing, but we have got a very dangerous situation, as one of the race officials just said. Right here in checkpoint 1, since the Seahawk boats have pulled everybody off course, the boats that went through the checkpoints first are now starting to head back out on the second part of the short course. And what is happening is we've got these boats crisscrossing at basically 90 to 110 miles an hour. Now the Seahawk boats have finally made it back in around checkpoint 7. So a few hairy moments out here above checkpoints 1 and 7. Chris?
Okay, that could be a bad situation there, Ernie.
Chris, it really is, because what you've got are boats at 100 miles an hour, some of whom don't even know where they are out there, trying to work their way through boats that are coming at them 100 miles an hour. That's 200 miles an hour when they come together, and you've got to be quick to realize what's happening and which way and how the rules of the road work.
How about the wake area out there? Will that affect the boats too? The wake of the boats and being in so close?
Yeah, no, the wake does have a factor, but because the winds are so calm right now, they dissipate rather quickly. I don't think that's going to be a major factor for these guys.
How can they overcome this? They have to go back to the basics here for a minute.
You know, it must be another case of follow the leader, because I can't believe these boats. We have Seahawk boat coming now. This is US 1, Sal Magluta. He's the U.S. national champion in open class. He's a very distant second, Ernie, and I think Apache is really running a very smart race right now.
Ben Kramer is a smart driver. Here comes the other Seahawk boat. So they're running second and third, but they are running so far behind right now that Ben Kramer, who is a very smart driver, in fact, you've got a modified boat running in third place. That is Special Edition John D'Elia, who probably didn't miss those navigation points, and in running a straight course, even though he's got 10 miles an hour less speed, has been able to hold third place in the race.
You know, it's amazing, Ernie. John D'Elia is really running fast, having averaged over 103 miles an hour in the Bahamas. That is one quick modified boat. We're talking real fast here. You know, he seems like Bob Kaiser in Systems just can't pull him, and he's in a much more powerful boat than Special Edition.
There are 3 modified boats that have made the outside turn. Will be coming across the start-finish line. They are running in order: Special Edition in first place, Smiling Jack in second, and Love It Again in third place. And that is about the speed of those boats priority-wise.
Okay, having a lead like Team Apache has at this point in time, what will Mr. Kramer's strategy be now?
Well, his strategy right now is to survive. With such a commanding lead, he knows everyone else has made a mistake by now, And what he's going to do is just throttle back a little bit, maintain his position, and play sort of a wait-and-see game. He's going to be smart. He's going to make his checkpoints accurately and make sure that he doesn't stress his engines and boat too hard so that he can finish this race in first place.
How hard is it to keep track of your competitors out there?
Well, it's real hard. The only thing you can really see from a boat is the rooster tail, and quite frankly, he's so far away that I don't think he's really going to be able to see it. He knows if he can maintain that 100 miles an hour, he's going to be a winner.
He doesn't even sound good right now, Chris. That boat is not running right. You can hear it. He's on off the throttles in smooth water. That boat is leaping around. It is just not handling right. Ben Kramer and Apache has got a 4-minute and 47-second lead. For a first lap, that is a long, long way. Here comes John D'Elia in Special Edition, a modified, and he is actually right now pulling Seahawk and still ahead of Seahawk number 2, who is in 3rd place in the open class. Right behind him is Smiling Jack, Jack Bishop. Those two boats are probably averaging 100 mile an hour plus right now. Love It Again is also coming up fast in 3rd place.
I'll tell you, these modified boats are like ICBMs out there. They are very, very impressive. Speeds I've never seen possible in a modified boat.
You've got to remember, these are little 30-foot boats running with 38 and 36 and 41-foot boats.
You know, it's amazing. Just 2 years ago, a modified boat, a fast modified boat, would run in the mid-80s. And now look at them, Ernie, over 100 miles an hour. That's amazing.
The 4th place boat, Baja Bandit, is just now coming by in the modified class.
You know, Ernie, it's a little bit of deja vu here as compared, of course, to Marathon, because Seahawk 20 was in the 3rd position down there, as you recall. There was a couple of breakdowns, and he went on his way and won.
You know, they say, the old saying, it's the opera's not over till the fat lady sings. A lot of things can happen in a 140-mile-plus race, and we'll see when we get down to the finish line. But hopefully we're going to see a little bit more competition than we have right now, because right now we have Apache just dominating the field.
If you can stay in a race and you can finish, then you got a shot at winning it.
You've got to finish, though, and that's the secret to this whole... That's the reason they call it a race, Chris.
Right. You got to go all the way around and get there at the end and be on top. Now, here we have another little boat bouncing around out there.
These are some of the boats in the sportsman's class that are now coming around. Here again, they took a shorter lap. They are a little bit behind everybody, but they have only 2 laps to make. These guys are now going actually into their last lap. The next time around for some of these, we'll see the winner. But you've got to remember, while they're making their 2nd lap, the open and modified boats are now on the same course that they're on, so they will all be on the same course. Open and modified have now made their long course. However, there are a lot of open and modified boats still out there that have not come back.
You know, it's just amazing. We had boats built of wood, we have boats built of aluminum, we have boats built of fiberglass, and these 30-foot space-age fiberglass hulls are really running out there.
We're looking at pictures in Sector E from our other helicopter. We cannot pick up any audio from there, but we are seeing the pictures in Sector E. And it's a little difficult to make out exactly what's happening there, but you've lost the picture momentarily. But how are you looking at the race overall? The real story so far, of course, is Team Apache's boat. But other than that, how's the race going?
Well, obviously, it looks like a real foot race out there. These boats are going very, very fast, and it's just a dazzling display of consummate skill. These guys are doing a super job out there.
Okay, we're back in Sector E out there, having a little bit of problem with that, but nevertheless picking up some of the boats that are out there. All that excitement of Seahawk going off course and Apache being so far out in front has dissipated a little bit here from excitement since they've gone back out to sea out there, and I'm sure that Bob Kaiser will be keeping track of the boats behind him. Ben Kramer in the Apache. Mike Cannington is ready with another report from Chopper 2.
Okay, Chris Barnes, we are still running alongside the Team Apache boat. He is so far out in front right now, he's just cruising along. It looks like the seas are just perfect for him. If what everybody's told me is they like is 1 to 3 feet. These guys have got it made. They're no competition around them. The only thing that's competing with them right now is the helicopters trying to stay up with them and keep good pictures of them. Chris?
Okay, this Team Apache is really surprising people here, Tim.
You know, you have a very large open class field right now, and besides the two Seahawk boats, and of course Team Apache, I haven't seen any other open boat. I think I just saw one of the DB boats, the 38-foot cigarettes, come by, but for the most part, the vast majority of the field is lost at sea.
And what do you think is going to happen? We're going to get them back here very shortly. Could they have missed a marker because of what happened in the open classification?
You know, as I said before, it's real tough when you come in offshore and you see just an incredible myriad of boats out there. And the only thing differentiating your check boat from a normal boat is just a small flag. You've really got to be keen, and the crew's got to work together.
Chris, we're keeping unofficial standings up here, but give you an update. In the various classes, in the open class, Apache came around first. Seahawk U1, Sal Magruder came around second. Seahawk number 20 in third. The Molson Indy, which is a cigarette boat, was in fourth. And the other cigarette hawk was in fifth place. In the modified class first time around was Special Edition, John D'Elia. Second place, Smiling Jack. Third place, Love It. And fourth place, the Baja Bandit. In the Pro Stock class, Captain America was around first. Triple Threat second. What a Package third. All of the P-Stock boats have come around their first time. Captain America P number 44, we understand from race control, is down in the water, as is A22 Pompano Sport Boat, and also Cigarette Frenzy A13 have all officially down in the water. So there are 3 boats officially out of the race.
Okay, Ernie and Tim, we'll be back here in just a moment to continue our Nissan 150 Powerboat racing live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is proud to announce they are taking reservations for home sites at the Harborage. The Harborage in South Fort Myers is a total waterfront community with over 100 acres of freshwater lakes as well as access to the Gulf. All lots are waterfront with full underground utilities and security controls. There are only 134 home sites in the Harborage and over 70% are already reserved. To make your reservation, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
Val Ward Cadillac, the luxury car center of Southwest Florida, continues to be overstocked. We have over 120 brand new 1986 Cadillacs in stock, available for immediate delivery. Featuring their luxurious Cadillac Cimarron priced at only $13,995 and America's largest car, the Fleetwood Brougham, at 6.9% financing. 6.9% financing and prices as low as $13,995 mean that this is your best time ever to own a Cadillac. Now at Val Ward Cadillac in Fort Myers.
Find out about your favorite stars Saturday night at 11:30 on WEVU TV.
Cannington standing by. We're hovering above checkpoints 3 and 4 on the short course here. The Team Apache boat has gone by 2.5 minutes ago, and we still haven't seen the first sighting of another open class boat. So he, like we have been saying throughout the telecast, has got a commanding lead. And we're going to wait here and see just how long it is before another open class boat comes by. We're going to go live right now to Carolyn Gussoff on the beach. Carolyn, what's going on down there?
Okay, on the beach, the crowd is loving the shots of people going by. Unfortunately, they really can't tell what's going on much, and that's why we have WeView TV broadcasting here by the bar. But there is a large crowd, and when those boats go by, people are loving it. And a lot of people are from out of town. I have a group of people right here from Ohio. Is that right?
Right, Ohio. Yeah.
What brings you to Fort Myers?
Oh, come to the races, come down here every year.
How do you like it so far?
Oh, it's great. The women are great. The ladies are fine.
You all having a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Is it all you've expected?
Yeah, it's great. It's fun. It's getting better, too.
Okay, we're soaking up the rays here on the beach, and now back to Chris.
Okay, Carolyn, thank you very much down there. Good crowd. Sounds like you're having a good time. We're up on top of the Lanikai, about 5 stories above Carolyn there. And all of a sudden, when the boats come through, you find yourself just rising right up with your voice and all, kind of screaming into the microphones. Now everybody's gone out of sight. It's nice and peaceful again, Tim.
Yeah, that's what's great about offshore racing. I'm not sure if anyone could handle the adrenaline level for the whole 2-hour race. It looks as though we have Bob Kaiser in systems back up on plane. Earl Lanier must have done a quick fix to get this boat going. This is a very fast boat and has got capabilities of running in excess. It looks like he's probably down on one engine, Ernie. It's tough to get an open boat up on one engine, but he's not running anywhere near the kind of speeds he needs.
He's faced with gremlins again, obviously, because that boat's got capable speeds of up to 120 miles an hour. He is far enough behind where I know he would not be running that speed unless he just flat couldn't get any more out of it.
Okay.
You know, just around that checkpoint, he had raised his red flag, probably to show some of the other drivers that he's down in the water and to be careful. Normally when you take that red flag out, it means that you need help, assistance right away. But he was smart enough to get that out.
Okay, now we want to switch to Mike Cannington in a busy helicopter number 2. Michael?
Well, Chris, we are still between checkpoints 3 and 4. 5 minutes after the Apache boat has come through, we're looking right now at the second place boat, one of the Seahawk boats. And so the Apache boat has quite a lead. And it's, I don't know, maybe Tim and Ernie can tell us what it's like when you're running around out there with that big a lead and what it's like for these Seahawk guys to try to come back into it. Chris?
Yeah, Seahawk to catch up, that's a real tough job right now. If Ben Kramer runs a smart race and hits all his checkpoints the way he should, I think he'll come home the winner today.
Right now, he can throttle back a little bit. He knows he's got a big lead, probably. You know, you look back and you don't see any boats behind you.
We have a picture of Apache from Chopper 1 right now. That's the boat that was doing such a great job in this race today, and there we see him.
Yeah, he is on his second lap now. He'll make 2 more laps after this, and then he'll be coming in for the finish. Now, 2 laps is still a long way to go, Chris, from the standpoint of a boat. Right now, they're in that cockpit. They're hearing all the little gremlins start to bug them. They know something's getting ready to happen. They just don't know what, and they're praying it doesn't happen for about another hour.
You know, he's taken a couple years to dial this boat in, and it's just running super. It's incredible what a lead he has right now. He knows that if Sal does catch up with him, however, that their speed is very similar, and I think right now he's just going to lay back and see what happens with Sal. And if perhaps Sal does catch up, I think they'll dice it out for the balance of the race.
Chris, we've also just got a report over race control. Jesse James has radioed in, is out of the race.
That's a tough break for them, but we really look forward to a big showing from Jesse James.
You know, it's interesting. As I mentioned before, Jesse James, when he ran a modified boat, Chris and Mark Lavin had one of the most enviable records on the offshore circuit. And like I said, when you jump up in class, it's like going through that learning period all over again. And they're having a hard time right now in open class, but I know once they get all the bugs dialed out of their boat, they're going to be a real tough contender.
Okay, here comes the system boat around, getting ready to go on his second lap right now. It's beginning to sound a little better. Apparently, when they stopped down there, they had a problem. Whether they have got that problem or not resolved, they are on both engines now. The boat is laying down flat and beginning to run the way it should. So they've got a long way to go, though, Chris, and catching up now as long as that Apache boat keeps running the way it is.
Very good. Let's go back to chopper number 2, Mike Cannington.
Okay, Chris, we are running right alongside the second place boat.
Well, I had a little problem with that picture coming in there right now.
Plugged in,
but they're keeping tabs on that Apache boat for us. And problem with keeping tabs on Apache, Tim, right now is that you can't see any of the other boats. They're so far ahead. Cannington, we got Cannington back on 2. Let's go upstairs.
Okay, Chris, we are running right alongside the Seahawk boat, which is in second place.
You're losing it.
Okay, Seahawk is running second in there. And remember, they weren't sounding too good when they went by here on their lap.
No, they really weren't. I'd like to see how far behind the Apache boat they really are.
Cannington said from his last report on Chopper 2, approximately 5 minutes.
Chris, we had him at 4 minutes and 47 seconds. I'll time him again because Apache's just now making the turn. He's getting ready to come back in. We'll get a time on him the second time. We'll get a pretty good idea of whether Apache's laying down a little or whether Seahawk's catching up.
Okay, now at this point in the race, how far has it come? How far does it have to go?
Well, he's come probably half the race so far. He's got another half of the race to go. And as I said, he's running a smart race now. He's keeping the RPMs in the boat down to a point where his longevity is great. He's just going to sit back and see what happens with the balance of the field. The key is finishing, and that's what it looks like he's going for.
When you have a long season, you have a lot of races this year.
You know, I'll tell you, this is really a tough season with 10 races for the circuit, some of them 2 weeks apart. I mean, the crews and the equipment manufacturers are really going overtime.
Okay, while we wait for the boats to come back here.
Here comes Apache into the harbor now.
Okay, let's take a look at it then. Ernie, go ahead.
Yeah, Apache is coming in. He's on the downwind chute right now. He'll be making his turn here in about 3 minutes and coming back out for his third lap. After that, he'll have one more lap to go then.
You know, Ernie, you can tell just by the way that boat's sloping that he's just out for a Saturday afternoon cruise down here in Cape Coral. He's going to play a wait-and-see game to see what happens with the rest of the competition.
We've got the timer on him. We'll see where Seahawk is and how they stand now. But as Tim mentioned, Chris, they go from here. They go to New Orleans, and that's another grueling race. Then they go from New Orleans to the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix up in Sarasota, Florida. From there, it's up to Jersey, then 2 races in Michigan, on to Rochester, back down to Miami, and then Key West. And that's about 2.5 weeks apart. And to go through these boats and re-repair them, it's a lot of work to do. Here are some of the P-class boats coming in on their second lap, and it looks like What a Package has now passed Captain America. He's got about a 5-second lead on Captain America, and right behind them is the number 3 boat. So Triple Threat, Captain America, and What a Package are all still running in a group. This is one of the closest races of the day, it looks like right now.
You know, I'll tell you, George Linder must be having a heyday today because his 30-foot designs are doing just super. What a Package is a shadow design boat, and of course the other 2 boats are 30-foot Chris Cats.
Okay, let's go upstairs to Mike Cannington, and we'll take a look at Seahawk.
Okay, Chris, we are running right alongside the Seahawk now as we come around checkpoint number 6. And it looks like he's having a little easier time this time navigating the course, so maybe he'll try to make up a little ground now with him in the Apache boat. Chris?
Would you say that he's stretching it out there, Ernie?
Chris, we can see him offshore out there, and he is beginning to fly that boat. Sal knows what he's got to do, and I tell you, what's going to happen, Apache is going to be on the upwind leg of this race as Sal turns into the harbor, and they're going to see each other. They're going to know how much distance is between them, and at that point, Sal sees Apache, Apache sees him, they know the distance, and I think Sal is going to go for it if he can.
You know, Sal's got those Arneson second effort surface drives, and you can tell by the size of that rooster tail how hard he's pushing it, Ernie, and he has got it pedal to the metal.
Here comes Apache going out on his third lap right now. He is slowed down just a little bit, but not much. But that boat, it tends to fly a little on the front end, and the throttle man has a lot harder job in that type of a situation because he's constantly back and forth on the throttles to compensate for that bow lift they're getting.
The key is, Ernie, don't use too much trim. Keep your drives flat and just keep the throttles down.
Here comes What a Package now in first place in the Pro Stock class, and right behind him is Omar in P4 Captain America, and not 500 yards behind them is Triple Threat. There is no more than 30 seconds between these boats right now.
You know, P class is really an exciting class because your equipment is so close and the boat designs are so close, and it really is an exciting class. When you have 3 boats that are approximately 10 seconds apart after running 70 miles, that's competition.
Yeah. Daddy Cool is coming through right now. Now, the only situation, he is not in second place. This is his first lap. So the Apache boat has lapped him somewhere out on the course out there.
But, of course, he can still pick up points if he stays in the race and finishes.
That's correct. This is another change in the scoring this year, Chris. The boats will get lap points for anywhere they are on the course. So the point system has changed this year to the point where they get points for their place in the course and position in course rather than a did not finish if they don't finish in the elapsed time.
Now, I know you have to go slow and bite your words out on this one. when does the race end?
This is a change also, Chris. The race now officially ends when the first place boat in the last class crosses the finish line. At that point, there will be boats still out on the course trying to compete for position. They will be recorded at the last checkpoint they go through, and they will receive points on the basis of the position they are in the race standings at the checkpoint they're at.
Okay, we have just a bit of a lull here at the start-finish line. We're on top of the Lonnie Kai with Tim Chisoli, Ernie Schmidt, and Chris Barnes, and we do have one boat. Before we go to a break, how about identifying that boat out there for us, Ernie?
Here comes Seahawk. He's running 4 minutes and 22 seconds behind the Apache boat, and he is screaming. He's looking to try to make up that distance if he can. It's a very fast boat, and if Apache lays back a little bit, he could catch him.
Okay, we'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat Racing live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
Harborage, designed for family fun. Offered by Harvey Youngquist and ARC Realty.
Elegance. When you're searching for the colors and textures that will best display your individual style, see Drapery Boutique. Drapery Boutique has a vast selection of the highest quality fabrics in a full array of colors and design. With Drapery Boutique, you may select the fabrics in your own home to make the perfect choice for your draperies and furnishings. From fabric to finish, Drapery Boutique does the work. With state-of-the-art equipment, our craftsmen produce just the effect you desire. Let Drapery Boutique create the mood you wish to convey.
Next Saturday at 1:30, we'll bring you live coverage of the Indianapolis 500 Festival Parade. And 1 week from tomorrow, on Sunday, May the 25th, don't miss our live coverage of the Indianapolis 500, the greatest spectacle in racing, here on WEVU TV, Southwest Florida's leader in sports television.
Chris, while we were off the air, a couple of things real quick. Willie Falcone is in second place. That is Seahawk 20 that has passed Sal Magutta. Sal is running in third. There is only a 3-second difference. They're coming around right now in the modified class, special edition. John D'Elia has got a 3-second lead on the boat Smiling Jack. So there is absolutely no difference in those two boats, and I take it back. Sal is in second place. Seahawk 20 just now came by. Love It Again, who was in third place, has just broken down on the backside of the main chute. Here comes Special Edition and Smiling Jack, and this is a horse race. They have now run 2 laps, and they are less than a second and a half apart, and Smiling Jack is starting to pull him. Smiling Jack is one of the new AME 4000 resin-tight boats. This boat has about a 300-pound advantage over the other boats.
You know, that Ashland 4000 resin is really something. I mean, you know, General Aviation has taken a great departure from the traditional aluminum-style boats. For instance, Beechcraft has just come out with what they call the Starship, which is a composite material boat. And they use Kevlar and some of the other space-age materials that we've been using in offshore race boats for a while. But this Ashland resin, you're really able to pair between 500 and 800 pounds off a boat, have a stronger boat, and a boat that resists cracks and gel coat crazes and things of that nature.
I don't know whether it's my imagination or whether I've been out in the sun here too long this morning. This water really seems to have smoothed out.
Yeah, the wind conditions have almost absolutely died. I doubt that we're going to see any world speed records today because Apache is simply not being pushed. He doesn't have anybody up there that's running with him. If Jesse James were on the course out there, and if Seahawk had not missed that navigational problem. Yeah, that's Love It again. They're down in the water. They were running in 3rd place in the modified class, but a lot of this is what happens, Chris, in this type of water condition. They want to run fast, they're pushing that boat to the limit, and they break down.
You know, John D'Elia in the special edition has a local sponsor, which we should mention, the Lanakai Resort. And we're on top right now watching all the action.
There goes your 3rd place boat right now, M7 of Baja.
Yeah, the Baja Boat Company also uses the Ashland 4000 AME resin in their boats. It's much more expensive than the standard resin, but listen, we're out here for competition. We're out here to set records, and the difference of $500 or $600 for better resin, if that makes the difference, then you got to go for it, because you spend so much money just to pick up a mile an hour with engines. If you can do it with the boat and the design, you're ahead of the game.
For all the ladies watching us right now and our coverage of this offshore race, where is Blue Max and our only lady driver, Crystal Gershner? You seen anything of her?
Chris, they have not come around. In fact, there are several boats that haven't come around on this course that we should have seen, you know, should be looking for. And they simply haven't gotten around the course. They haven't radioed in, so they're either trying to get the boat fixed. They have not officially declared themselves out of the race yet.
You know, Ernie, in a race like this, these throttlemen, they have the pedal to the metal. They've got the sticks all the way in the down position. They're right up against the dash. And because of that, you have a tremendous amount of attrition. I mean, these engines are spinning at speeds close to 7,000 revolutions per minute. And let's face it, for 7,000 revolutions per minute for 2 hours, that puts incredible stresses on an engine. And consequently, we have what we have right now with Love It Again, and it looks like they've lost an engine.
Okay, there's Molson Indy going by us.
Yeah, Molson Indy. This is Lauren Leibel. He's a new driver that's hit the circuit. He's up from Canada, and he's in a 38-foot cigarette. This is a very fast DP boat, and in fact was the world champion boat many, many years ago.
We see one of the helicopters coming in and right over our spectator fleet right here now. I guess they're coming in maybe to pick up some different shots for us, but it's unusual to see them come in here from that angle.
You know, another reason why drivers and crew want helicopters above them is the safety factor. If they ever had a problem in the boat and you had a hull failure, somebody from the helicopter could jump out and give assistance where if 2 drivers or the navigator and throttle man were unconscious.
Tim, let's give them an update, and this is after 2 laps in most of the classes. In the open class, those around for the 2nd lap, Apache, obviously, he is way, way out front right now. 2nd place, Sal Maguda and Seahawk. In 3rd place, Team Seahawk, number 20 with Willie Falcone. And in 4th place, a boat that just came around, the Molson Indy Cigarette. Those boats which have not come around for their 2nd lap, Systems, Cigarette Hawk, and Daddy Cool are still hopefully out there on the course somewhere. In the modified class, obviously, Lovett is down in the water. He's out of the race right now, it looks like, although he's not declared himself. East Coast Marine never came around, so he is probably out of the race. Blue Max, Power Play, and the Kaihuso Express did not record their 1st lap yet. So right now, there are only 3 boats that we know for a fact are out there running, and they are in a real dogfight. And that is Special Edition Smiling Jack and the Baja Bandit. In P class, What a Package, who was in 3rd place, is now taking the lead over Captain America, who came around 1st place in the 1st lap. In 3rd place, Triple Threat. In 4th, Bandit. In 5th, Long Shot. In 6th place, High Risk. 7th, the Baja Bandit. And in 8th place, ACR. In the smaller classes, John D'Elia's son is in 1st place in Breakaway. And 2nd place, Miss Don Q. In 4th, Bob Erickson, the current national point champion, is in 4th place.
You know, Ernie, the speeds that we're going at right now, you don't believe what kind of a tremendous emotional and mental and physical pressure this puts on the crew. Things over 120 miles an hour, 125 miles an hour happen so incredibly fast that you've got to be right on your toes, you've got to be sharp, and you've got to be quick, or you can have a disaster. And for instance, we saw last week a spin out in one of the boats. So they've really got to have all their stuff together when they go out there if they're going to be a winning team.
Tim, what's the situation now? Are these drivers beginning to get a little punchy out there? Is the sun beginning to take its effect? The engine roar, that type of thing?
You know, number one, you have your driving suit on. Normally, it's made of Nomex. It's a fire retardant material that, in case there is a fire in the boat, that hopefully you won't go up with it. This is a very, very hot suit. Normally, just the suit alone will raise the temperature inside that suit 20 to 30 degrees above where it's at right now.
Okay.
Then, of course, on top of that, you have your life jacket and your helmet. These guys are hot, real hot, and they're starting to tire on the course now, I'm sure.
Okay, now, fellas, while you turn your attention to what's happening out there, since no boats are going by the start-finish line or the position of the Lani Kai, we looked some helicopter pictures from copter number 1 of the spectator fleet and what exactly is going on, as Ernie has brought you and Tim up to date on that. Now, we're going to continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from the Fort Myers Beach, from the top of the Lani Kai, right after this.
Harvey Youngquist is proud to announce the grand opening of Southwest Florida's most prestigious business community, Linden Place. Located in South Fort Myers on College Parkway, Linden Place offers professional business site ownership. To secure your future business home, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686. Linden Place, the heart of Southwest Florida's business community.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
Watch, listen, and win in Southwest Florida's biggest prize contest ever. Over $10,000 in free groceries from Super X, plus a very special grand prize will be given away in the WEVU TV Q96 FM Watch, Listen, and Win game. Each weekday from now through July 11th, watch WEVU TV between 5 and 8 p.m. for the Super Trivia question and answer. Then listen to Q96 FM the following morning for your chance to win. It's the biggest prize contest that's ever been on WEVU TV. Watch, listen, and win. Mike Cannington, tonight at 11 on the WeView News Center.
WeView TV would like to remind you of our annual Hurricane Special. Southwest Florida's top forecaster, Bill Zeliff, will host a panel of experts to help keep you informed in the event of a hurricane. Don't miss Hurricane 86, Thursday, May 29th at 7 p.m., right here on WeView TV. Lovett again is dead in the water out there. What are his options right now, Ernie?
Chris, he's trying. He has not declared himself out of the race. But I know right now Mike Lehman, Jerry Billingston, and Orlando Lorenzo are trying to figure out what's happening out there. They've been sitting in the water quite a while. They've either lost an engine, they've got a foul plug. They're just trying to figure out what's happening so they can get it back on plane, get back in the race. You've got to remember, only 3 boats are ahead of them still, and 4th place is an awful lot of points over the course of a year.
Okay, 2 questions. Part 1 is, how long does he have to get it going again? And Cigarette just went by.
Okay, well, of course, you know, he's got, of course, until the end of the race to get it over. When the first boat in the last class crosses the finish line, of course, that's the end of the race. I'll tell you, this is a very, very disheartening part of the race. When your crew has worked all night to get the boat together, and you've traveled thousands and thousands of miles, and you've worked hard for the preceding 2 weeks to get your engine straight, your boat set, everything dialed in, to come out and run 100 miles in a 140-mile race and break down is a very, very hard thing to handle, not to mention the thousands and thousands of dollars that's involved.
You sound like it happened to you a few times.
Yeah, well, see, that's what's great. You know, you really don't know what winning is like until you break down a couple times, and it makes winning that much more exciting for you.
While we have this 1 second of just a little bit of a low right in front of us here, Tim, what are your plans to get back into racing?
Well, we've got some special things we're going to pull out of the stable for the kilo runs that are going to be in Sarasota on July 4th. We're looking to pull a world speed record in the superboat class. We've got a very unique boat that we're coming out with and some very unique engines.
That's just trying to draw him out on what he's got there.
He's not going to tell you till it's over, Chris, I can guarantee you. But seriously, they will be holding the World Speed Kilo Runs in Sarasota on July the 4th. All classes are open to run in that, and these are world-recognized APBA and UIM speed records on a two-way kilo course with an average speed. And we anticipate, with the type of speeds these boats are running today, that we will see probably world speed records established in every class in that in the course of that day.
You know, Ernie, in 1984, I set the world kilo record for open class, and I want to make sure that I keep it, so we're going to try real hard.
I won't ask any more questions there, Tim. It's now 12:48. What is your estimate time for the end of this race? Is that a possibility to give us now?
I can see Apache coming on the downwind leg down there right now, and if he holds that together, he's got one more lap to go. That's been about a 22-minute lap, so coming around, he probably is going to be right at 1:30 coming around this course, and it'll be all over for him. Now, remember, this race is not officially over until the first place boat in the last class crosses the finish line, so each one of these others. All right, we've got a report to go to Chopper 2, who is over Seahawk at the present time.
That's right, Ernie. This is Mike Cannington. We're flying along with Chopper 2. We are right above Willie Falcone in Seahawk 20. He's running in third place right now, about a minute and a half to 2 minutes behind his sister ship, the Seahawk US 1. So he is opening it up quite a bit because we've been having a problem staying with him. He is probably doing close to 110 miles an hour right now as he heads down towards checkpoint 5 along the Sanibel shoreline. Back to you guys on top of the landing eye.
Can you see Apache ahead of him?
Oh, no, the Apache is long gone. As a matter of fact, we can just barely see the other Seahawk boat. He's about halfway between checkpoints 5 and 6, so yeah. The Apache boat is long out of sight for us.
Okay, he's apparently holding that lead right now then.
Well, of course, we had a delay in the start of the race for the folks that may not have been with us at the very beginning. You know, we had anticipated an 11:15 start. We roughly about a 20-minute delay in that, so they started somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 minutes of 12, and that's why we're where we are so late. We thought that we may even be over by this time.
You know, I think we should talk a little bit about the Team Apache's boat. Of course, their catamaran is a 41-foot, what they call state-of-the-art cat. It's got twin 700 horsepower Apache Ikert engines coupled with Mercruiser No. 4 Speedmaster drives to give this revolutionary cat a top speed of over 125 miles an hour. It features a unique adjustable center wing, which allows for precise trimming of the boat in speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. And Ernie, you don't know how important that can be when you're going at speeds over 120.
No, other than having driven with you one time, Tim, which I don't want to do again, I can visualize what 120 miles an hour is. Systems has just gone by. He is still in the race at this time, it looks like. And right up behind him almost, and almost getting ready to lap him, is Apache.
I'll tell you, this Apache boat is just running super today. They had some artisan drives on it last year. They couldn't get the steering worked out. But now with these new Mercruiser No. 4 Speedmaster surface drives, the boat is running super. It's got a whole new attitude. And look at them, Ernie. It looks like they're out for a Saturday afternoon cruise. I think they're going to win this race.
Okay, fellas, we'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from the Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Bridge, designed for family fun, offered by Harvey Youngquist and ARC Realty.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
If your present office telephone system needs frequent service, that hurts. If you aren't getting same-day service, that hurts even more. And if your system isn't designed to grow with your future business needs, that isn't a little hurt, that's a disaster. Telephone support systems provide solutions, not patch jobs. If your requirements are between 2 lines with 2 phones to 30 lines and 100 phones or more, call Telephone Support Systems, the first company in Florida, selected as an authorized distributor for Southwestern Bell Telecom.
And today at 1:30, there's more boating action with the Formula One Powerboat races. And at 2 p.m., it's an Indianapolis 500 special, setting the pace. And all that's coming up following our exclusive offshore race coverage on WEVU TV, Southwest Florida's leader in sports television.
Chris, just as you say that, here comes Apache. He is on his last lap going out. Now, this is when you hear the gremlins. You start hearing those little spark plug misses. You start feeling like the boat isn't going to do what you want it to, and you're hoping for a finish.
Did you put a clock on him so we can tell the difference?
I've got a clock on him. We have just heard also unofficially that Sal Maguda is down in the water somewhere between checkpoint 5 and 6, apparently. So it's going to be a long, long day for Sal.
When you get stuck way out there, Tim, what happens? How do you get your boat back?
Yeah, well, that's real tough. You know, it's funny, I think it was last year we broke down way out near checkpoint 2, and it took a long time to, you know, to get the boat back on one engine.
Yeah, Okay, then that's too bad. Sal is one of the top drivers, and you always know when he's in the race, he's always a threat to win it.
Sal is really a class act. He spends an awful lot of time and energy into being a winner, and he is a super winner. And you know, like I said, these letdowns when you do happen to blow an engine makes winning that much more sweet. So I'm sure he's been through this many times.
Okay, and we can see now some of the boats way out there. The rooster tails are coming into sight now. It's a little bit hard to pick up exactly which boat it is out there. And when they get in a little bit closer, we'll describe them for you. And I think, do we have an update right about now? What is the latest we have in the open classification?
All right, in the open class, the only boat around for the 3rd lap is Apache, although there's Sal Maguda coming through at 2 minutes and 47 seconds, so he has cut 2 minutes off of that lap lead. He is not down. It is apparently the other Seahawk boat. He has picked up considerably.
It could be the other Seahawk
Apache.
boat. Could be the other Seahawk boat.
It could be the other one. That is U1 right there coming by.
The other one is Seahawk 20.
Ernie, that's Seahawk.
Okay, we have Mike Cannington upstairs, and he's with Apache.
Okay, Chris, we're watching the Apache come streaking down between checkpoints 1 and 2, and nowhere to be seen is the Seahawk boat. So they obviously they're fighting for 2nd and 3rd place, but the Apache's running clean all by himself out here on checkpoint 1. Chris?
Okay, we just had Sal Magluta and the Seahawk go by here, Mike. And
here comes the other one.
Here comes the other Seahawk boat now,
yeah.
Is it?
It looks like the other Seahawk boats. They're both still on plane, but Sal has cut some time off. They've only got 1 lap to go, and to cut 3 minutes off of a lap time in a race like this is going to be extremely difficult. Steve, is this the first P-class boat around?
We're checking on the boats now. They're coming in both
Here comes your leader in Pro Stock, P4, Captain America. He is around on his last lap now. Right behind him, Triple Threat. So somewhere on the race course was your leader of the last lap. What a package. And these two guys are still having at it. They're only about 5 seconds apart going into their last lap.
So they're going to be the thrilling ones.
Oh, no doubt about it. You know, it's talking about Ben Kramer and making that choice between the Deep B and the Cat. The way the points are structured, the points go to the boat of record. That's Sal Magluta coming by now. But the points go to the boat of record. So, for instance, if Ben Kramer wins today, the points for that win will go to that boat. If he takes the deep V out next time, they go to the deep V. So in order for him to be national champion, he's really got to compile an awful lot of points because he does have that two-boat option.
Well, is that kind of opposite of auto racing, where I think the points go to the driver?
Right. The points do go to the driver, and of course, you know, you go to some of these major NASCAR races and things, they bring 3 to 4 cars with them and determine which car works best for which track and which conditions. Unfortunately, in offshore, we don't have that available to us. It used to be the case, but now that's been changed. I think Ben is fighting to get it back to the two-boat rule.
Okay.
Special edition just came in on the back side of the chute in first place. And what is obvious is that right behind him is not Smiling Jack. He is nowhere to be seen on the course. A while ago when they came through here, they were only about 3 seconds apart. So John D'Elia is in much the same situation right now as Apache is in the open class. He's got to run all by himself, and if he can simply hold it together, has got a lock on first place.
Something I think we should bring up is the fact that you have to keep tabs on these boats. It's a different way of scoring this year. How are you getting your information, and how is it being kept for you?
Everything we're doing up here is unofficial. I've got a lap counter up here. We're simply counting laps, counting positions, and please realize this is unofficial that we're giving. But it is reasonably to assume with the number of boats that so far haven't come by that we can keep a fairly accurate count of what's going on the course.
Is our man reliable?
Yes, he is.
He's your son, huh?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and the crowd is holding up well here. We haven't mentioned them in a long time, but my goodness gracious, look at that crowd out there on the beach as far as you can see. All the way down around the bend, practically to Vanderbilt Beach, and up the other side to the end of the island here, and the spectator fleet. And right in front of us...
They can pick him up. There goes special edition, John D'Elia in modified, and he is screaming through here. You've got to... He is currently running 4th place overall, including the open class, and in 1st place in modified, and that little 30-foot boat is moving right on down.
Well,
Chris, at this time, we've got a couple of classes that have finished their course, and in the sportsman's class in A, B, and C, it would appear that C7 in the sportsman's class, Lipship, has finished in 1st place. In the A sportsman's class, Chickabob has finished in 1st place, and C&S Marine coming in 2nd. In the B class, Seahawk never came around, so apparently there will be no official finish in the B sportsman's class. In the Stock B class and in the Stock A class, they are on their last lap. Miss Don Q is in 1st place, Smooth Operation in 2nd place, Breakaway running in 3rd. In the B stock, Captain Maintained is constantly maintained 1st place, Obsession in 2nd place, and Fully Involved is running in 3rd place.
Okay, and we have another boat goes zizzling by here.
High risk. These are some of the P-class boats that are now going around on their last lap.
This is a skater design. It's a 24-foot catamaran. It's gotten very, very popular in the past couple of years. Extremely fast. A very slippery boat, a very aerodynamic boat, and has won a lot of honors with Bob Erickson behind the wheel in the AME boat.
Right now, it looks like the race to follow is there in P-class, because between Captain America and Triple Threat, they've got less than about 300 yards between them. And going into this last lap, it's going to become a real drag race between those two guys. 1st place means so much more to them than 2nd place that they're both going to go for it.
I'll tell you, Ernie, at this stage in the game, they wish they could stick another paddle out there or something just to catch up and, of course, pass the other guy. You know, when you got them all the way out and you can't gain that feat that's necessary to get the win, it's hard to handle sometimes. They'll go back to the drawing board this week and try to squeak that extra mile an hour out of it.
Yeah, we had a situation last fall at the World Championship where literally one guy jumped out of the boat in order to create some additional weight savings for the boat and allow them to try to make a place finish higher than where they were running.
I think he jumped out of the boat for another reason, Ernie. I think there were 12-footers out there, and he just didn't want to go around one more time through that stuff.
Okay, I understand now that Carolyn Gussoff is waiting to give us a report. Is that correct? Is she ready?
Hey, Chris, down here on the beach, there are a lot of people from out of town, but there are a lot of native Floridians as well. All these people are from Florida, a lot of them from Miami, and they've got great tans, and they're here to tell us about their tans. How do you keep your tans?
I don't know about me, but 90% of these guys, they just lay out in the closet for about 24 hours with the sunlight, you know. But other than me...
Everybody here enjoying the offshore powerboat race.
It's a great time here today, but I don't know how the boats are doing, but everybody seems to be having a great time with the booze.
Okay, everybody is having a great time out here on the beach. And we're going to be watching the races. We're counting on you, Chris, to fill us in. We'll go back to you now on the top of the Lani Kai Hotel.
I don't know. It seems to be getting louder down there as we go along. I don't know whether it's the heat or not. And we'll continue here with Ernie, Tim, and Chris. And our Nissan 150 powerboat races live from the Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is proud to announce they are taking reservations for home sites at the Harborage. The Harborage in South Fort Myers is a total waterfront community with over 100 acres of freshwater lakes as well as access to the Gulf. All lots are waterfront with full underground utilities and security controlled. There are only 134 home sites in the Harborage and over 70% are already reserved. To make your reservation, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Inside this can is a product that can withstand surface temperatures of over 100 degrees day after day. It can survive the destructive powers of tropical storms and wind-driven rains, and even endure years of exposure to the damaging ultraviolet rays of the Florida sun. But what's truly amazing is the price. The original Florida formula paints from Flexbond, available only at Flexbond factory stores and authorized dealers.
1 week from tomorrow, Sunday, May the 25th, for the first time ever, WEVU TV will bring you live coverage of the Indianapolis 500 beginning at 11 a.m. Then the racing continues when we'll join the Coca-Cola Classic World 600 Auto Race live in progress here on WEVU TV, Southwest Florida's leader in sports television. Okay, Tim and Ernie, what's happening?
Chris, it looks like attrition is beginning to take its toll. In the modified class, only 2 of the boats have now come around for their official last lap. Smiling Jack, which was one of the boats that was in contention for the lead with Special Edition, has not come around, is obviously down somewhere on that course. Yeah, this is the second Seahawk boat coming by now on his last lap. And if you look further down the course, there is a Seahawk boat that was down in the water on the course. So it looks like the 2 Seahawk boats are now way, way behind Apache. But in modified, only 2 boats left. In the open class, it looks like only 4 boats are running. In the P class, there's still a number of the boats, but only Triple Threat and Captain America are really in contention at this time.
Is it unusual to have this much attrition on a fairly calm sea?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, it's very commonplace when you get the speeds going this high, and of course, when you have a couple navigational errors, you try to make up that difference, and of course, it puts a lot of pressure on the crew to really push the boat a little bit harder than they should if they're looking to go the distance. So I think that's what happens. We have very humid weather, we have very hot weather, and I think it's taking its toll.
Just as Seahawk 20 went by, they seem to be really lumbering going through, just hoping to get around and get as far as they can before the race ends.
Chris, you got to remember now, they're still in 3rd place, and 3rd place is an awful lot of points because they've got 7 more races after this to go.
What about money prizes, too?
Unfortunately, the prize winnings in offshore racing are not that high. First place finish, they'll be lucky to pay their gas bill. So it is obviously not money that these guys are after in this type of racing. It's the glory of the win and the thrill.
A lot of them are getting some thrills out here.
Oh, there's no doubt. I'll tell you, some hot ones, too. We talk about the heat taking the attrition on the boats and the crew. I'm starting to overheat a little bit myself up here. I got to double up on this Gatorade.
You can run under the tent over there and cool off for a second. Tim, look at all the people. I can't remember the people being in the water like they are in other races. They were up on the beaches and all.
Yeah.
We have a lot of folks swimming.
We're going to suggest to the Lanakai they put a swimming pool on the roof next year, Chris. It'd make life a lot easier up here.
You know, I'll tell you, this is one great crew. You know, when you come from thousands of miles away to a race site, it's absolutely exciting as a driver and an owner of a boat to see such a fantastic crew of people out there and spectators having a great time. And this is really a tribute to the sport and the fact that this is, in fact, a spectator sport, because we have what looks like 100,000 people out there having a great time, Chris.
It certainly does, and of course the big thing about the races is the excitement. It's not just racing alone, but it's a big offshore powerboat racing party.
It's true. You know, I came down on the plane yesterday from up in the New York area, and I had 3 people ask me if I was coming to the race in Cape Coral. So this has really become a national event with tremendous national recognition, and I think it's a tribute to the crowd out there and the spectators that are coming out to share this day with us.
We mentioned just a few moments ago about prizes, and of course Ernie said they may not, the winner may just pay his gas bill or things like that. But as this builds, this race now, I think this is what, the 6th year here now, and will more money come into the offshores?
Chris, we hope so. As you're seeing, one of the hardest things to follow from a spectator view is offshore racing. It's one of the most thrilling sports from the standpoint of the action, the physical punishment that these drivers go through. But it's very difficult from a spectator or particularly a sponsor standpoint to follow and become involved in.
You know, I'll tell you, now that we have a major sponsor in Nissan, I think we could possibly see some increases in the purse money, and I know that would have a lot more people come out to this race. If they just charged an extra 2 or 3 cents a car, just think of how much money they could donate to this race.
Tim, will this want to see the races, want to get more money into the races, change some of the race courses and design of the boats?
Well, you know, what's been happening is a transition. Offshore has come inshore quite a bit. And it's because of the way that these courses are set up and the hundreds of thousands of spectators on the beaches that we've done that. I think you're going to see the courses come in a lot more now.
Okay, let's go upstairs and a report from Mike Cannington.
Okay, Chris, we are running alongside the Apache, the lead boat. We're going to follow him all the way in. It looks like it's going to be an easy run for him from here on out. He's about ready to lap the systems boat. If he was really pushing it, I'm sure he could. Chris?
Okay, Apache looks like he is going to continue what he's been doing most of the day, and that's leading the pack. And we have another boat, S44, apparently out of commission right here.
Yeah, that's J.D. D'Elia, John's son, I believe, and his day is over. They've got the helmets off, and they're obviously out of the race. That is Apache that you see on the TV screen right now. He's cruising along. They've had a nice Sunday ride, as we refer to it right now, but they're looking forward to seeing a checkered flag here very soon.
Okay, and he certainly made the right decision this morning when he picked that particular boat for these waters.
Well, Ben Kramer, he's a shrewd operator, Chris. He knows boat racing. He knows what the conditions are he's going to be faced with, and he's a cagey veteran. He knows how to do it.
You know, one interesting thing about this Apache boat, I saw it before they put it in the water. You know, he pulls out all the tricks when it comes time to go racing, and the guy is a serious professional when it comes to racing. He has some very, very trick key caper aeromarine style props that were specially designed for him up in Wisconsin, and I think he's been able to pick up 3 to 4, maybe even 5 miles an hour with these new 4-blade props. They are indestructible and fast.
Okay, we need to get a report from the pier. We haven't been down there in quite some time. And Ben Bensinger, what do you have for us?
There's Apache. You got 4 helicopters bound to be him. There he is on the last leg out there. Oh, okay.
Okay, we couldn't raise Ben. Why are all those helicopters following that boat out there?
Chris, there's only one reason. That's Apache. You've got 5 helicopters over him. They know who the leader is. Now we know who the leader is. And they're watching him come into the harbor for his last lap and the finish line. And Ben Kramer's looking forward to a checkered flag right now.
You know, this has just been a dazzling display of consummate skill out there by Ben Kramer. He is a true professional. He's been spinning and grinning out there in the Gulf of Mexico all day long and having a great time at it.
It's going to be interesting to see what those speeds are that he's recording, Chris, because obviously right now he knows that he's got the lead. He's got to finish, because if he breaks down to limp in, they really aren't that far behind him if he breaks down. So he wants to finish, but the likelihood of a record speed is still very remote right now.
His throttle man, Bob Sacenti, isn't he one of the veterans on our...
Bob Sacenti is, he's probably got more seat time than probably anyone out there right now. Earl Lanier and, of course, Harry Wellman and John
Sammy James when he was doing it.
Sammy James definitely is another one of those guys. But you know what? It's experience wins. And these guys have the experience. They know how to run a smart race and come home with that checkered flag, and I know that's what they all want.
And, of course, we must mention his navigator, Larry Williams.
That's true. And here again, that apparently on the start made the big difference. If Seahawk was as far off as they think he was out there, he had it dialed in. He knew where that checkpoint was. He didn't let him off course, and it made a big difference, and it forced Seahawk to try to play catch-up all day long.
You know, Ben Kramer's had checkered flags in his eyes for this entire race. You know, from the start of the course, the start is like something like your first kiss and cracking up your father's car all at the same time, to the finish, where it's almost anticlimactic. I mean, you're so physically and mentally debilitated at that point. Sometimes you wonder, you have to ask, did we win? And when they come over to you with that checkered flag, that makes it all worthwhile.
Not really, no.
I think we were going to go to a break, fellas, but I think Apache's pretty close.
He's coming in right now. In fact, he is on the. He's only about a mile from the finish line. He'll make that in 20 seconds or so here. You've got 4 helicopters over him. He knows, he sees the finish line now, Chris. He knows where it is. He knows what he's got to do. They could almost coast in from here, literally. But he is coming down the back chute right now, heading for the start-finish line, getting ready to pick up a checkered flag.
He doesn't want anything to go wrong. He's taking his time, and he's doing it the right way. He's a smart driver.
Okay, we
in
have
the background, you don't even see Seahawk, so he knows he's got that lead stretched way, way out right now.
You know, you'd think coming down that home stretch, you'd just want to put him on the dash, but that's not the case.
Here they are, Apache Racing Team.
And this is Ben Kramer, the driver, Larry Williams, the navigator, and Bob Sacenti, the throttle
on
man.
the throttles. There's your winner in the open class, and I think we can even say officially, Chris, because there's just nobody else in sight right now. These guys have done it all today, from start to finish, literally. They have led this race. They have put everybody else behind them.
How often do you see somebody win by almost wire to wire?
Well, you know, as we talked about before, the key is navigation, you know. The navigation is a very big part of winning races. And when the other boats came off course, he took advantage of it, and look at the lead he's got.
Okay, Mike Cannington upstairs, go ahead.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to point out to you, Chris. It really goes to show you, because the Team Apache boat was way, way behind both Seahawk boats, easily a couple of miles behind them. But when the Seahawk boats made their miscalculation, they must have gone easily a mile or two off course. That let the the Team Apache boat scoot right in. He took a real sharp cut on the turn, and from there it was just no race, and it's been that way the whole day. So it's been probably a great ride for these guys. I'm sure they're going to be ecstatic tonight. Chris?
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. And we're going to take that break now and come right back to you. We're going to try to get an interview with those boys on Apache. We'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Harborage, designed for family fun. Offered by Harvey Youngquist and ARC Realty.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
From Airport Marine, home of the never-ending boat show, the name is Yamaha, a major force in American boating with 25 years of outboard experience in more than 140 countries worldwide. Yamaha brings America the future in boating with a full line that includes everything from a mini 2-horsepower model up to our awesome 220-horsepower V6 Special, all with a 2-year warranty. Yamaha at Airport Marine, US 41 south of Page Airfield.
Serving all of Southwest Florida, this is WEVU TV.
Okay, we're back on top of the Lani Kai on a magnificent day for racing, and momentarily we hope to get down to the barge down there and get an interview with the folks from Apache. Billy, we ready to do that yet, to have Ben or not? Okay, there you see the pic. Thanks for the picture. They're tying up to the dock right now, and that's got to be a happy moment, Ernie.
Chris, guy asked me after we finished a 2-day offshore endurance run. He said, Ernie, do you hurt very much? And I said, well, it doesn't hurt when you win, and that's the way these guys are feeling right now. They're not hurting at all, no matter what happened out there, because they have won. They're going to get that checkered flag. This dramatically changes also the point standings up in the open class, because Systems was leading through the first 2 races. Apache was all the way down in 8th place in the point standings and has now taken a 1st place. So depending on Seahawks finishes, it's going to throw the point standings totally around. Who's going to be in 1st place after point standings, because the calculation is very tough.
When we look back on this racing year of '86, they may point to Fort Myers Beach race as the turning point.
They very well could, because Apache has turned it all around this time. The guys who were leading in points are nowhere up front. And here's Bob Kaiser, Ben Kramer, Bob Cicenti, and Larry Williams getting ready to pick up their checkered flag.
I'll tell you, Ernie, that moment of grabbing that checkered flag makes it all worthwhile. The trophies and the money really take a 2nd place to grabbing that checkered flag.
Okay, let's see if we can go down to Ben Bensinger and the winners on the Apache. Ben, take it away. Well, if we can get in touch with Ben down there, we'll be right back with him and to talk to it. Fellas, we can continue with the description of the race, and as soon as we get Ben, I'll interrupt you.
Let me know. The P-class boats have just come by, and it looks like Triple Threat has passed Captain America on that last lap. And here again, totally unofficial. But he came across ahead of Captain America for a probable 1st place finish in the production pro stock class. Captain America, it looks like, came in 2nd.
How long does it take to get the official from the of the race?
These will be calculated in the race control, which is right below us on the top floor here at the Lani Kai, and probably within the next 10 or 15 minutes we could have official race results. Something else that we need to keep in mind, I have not seen John D'Elia in Special Edition come by yet, and if that is the case, we may have a change in modified class as well, because he has not come by.
Okay, Ben Bensinger, do you hear me down there with Apache?
Are we speeding? Feed me more, a little more.
Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, we're here live with the winners here. Apache, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
You're the winner. What do you got to say for yourself? Ben Kramer, the driver of Apache.
It feels great. It feels great.
It feels great. All right, now, you were the throttle man. Tell us what happened from the outset, right from the start of the race. Did you get off to a clean start?
We had a very clean start. We got up on plane real nice, headed down checkpoint 1, ran out to checkpoint 2, and we noticed that the old trick, they followed a pack. Somebody veered off to the left, and most of the pack split. They went to the left. We stood on course. We had checkpoint number 2 right on the nose, and that gave us a nice, substantial lead. So then we just cooled it for the rest of the race. We pulled back, conserved our speed, and went through all the checkpoints right on the money.
Okay. Ben, that certain fellow that veered off was US 1, was Sal Magluta. You wouldn't expect that if Sal's boat to really pull off the race.
Well, it happens to anybody. It's just when you're going over 100 miles an hour and you're watching a compass, it's real hard to be exact.
But soon after about 15 minutes of it, I noticed everybody was swinging way off course, so I tucked back in, and the mark came right up like love.
Ben, what was going through your mind at that time when you knew that Sal was taking the rest of the racers off?
Just trying to keep the equipment together and get the boat to hold together to finish, that's all.
Okay, your throttle man mentioned that he let up on the let up on the throttle once you knew you were ahead. Were you worried at all? Were you thinking that, hey, this engine could blow at any time or something could happen?
We were just screaming at each other at 100 miles an hour.
All right, now, I do want to mention that you decided to go with the Cat. Obviously, that was a good choice today.
No question about it, man. This Cat eats the competition.
Especially in these conditions. Tell us about the conditions out there, particularly on the long leg, where we all didn't get a chance to really get a good view.
Well, it was bumpy about halfway out there. It developed like a 2 to 4 foot swell, and right out at the mark, it got choppy on the way back in towards Sanibel Island. Was a nasty swell, but being we have a 41-footer, the length kind of bridged us through it.
That's right. Actually, the conditions appear to have gotten better.
Perfect for this boat. This boat bridged the water beautifully.
For racing.
Real quickly, I'd like you to describe the adjustable trim system that you've got on this boat. That's the kind of revolutionary.
We have Mercruiser drives, and engines are built by Keith Eichert by Team Apache Engineering, and we hardly had to use the trim, just very negative trim we use on our boat.
Okay, Ben Kramer, congratulations.
We'd like to just thank the people real quick, the team, Bobby Moore, Keith Eichert, all the people that rigged the boat and put it together. We'd like to thank Armin Wieger at Mercury for giving us the drive. Everything was perfect.
We just drive the boat. The team puts it together.
A lot of doubters in the crowd about Team Apache taking the lead, but I guess you guys showed them at the end that you had the stuff.
They called us the underdog in the paper, and we love it.
We're on the warpath.
All right, that's it. Team Apache, the winners of the Nissan 150 Offshore in the open class. We'll have interviews with the modified and the P-Stock class winners. That'll be coming up. I'll send it back to you, Chris.
Okay, Ben, and we'll continue with the Nissan 150 Powerboat races live from Fort Myers Beach right after this.
Do you know why the area's best physicians and surgeons suggest that their patients come to Cape Coral Hospital? It's not just our high-tech facilities or even this new 80-bed addition. It's our people, our staff of professionals, our unique primary care system of nursing. Our interest in our patients' well-being is a particular point of pride for all of us. Just ask anyone who's been to Cape Coral Hospital lately.
There's a healthy difference at Cape Coral Hospital.
Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty is currently offering this 130-acre tract just to the north of the Southwest Florida Regional Jetport. With frontage on Daniels Road, it is in the land use plan as airport commerce. This 750-acre parcel is located on the northwest corner of I-75 and Alico Road. The acreage can be divided and is in the land use plan as industrial commercial interchange. For more information on these properties and others, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686.
Did you know the most natural way to sleep is on water? Classic. And now, Classic, the world's largest manufacturer of waterbeds and all-American waterbeds, have pooled their resources and are having a factory-authorized sale on all our Classic waterbeds. Save on all sizes and styles of soft sides starting at just $269. Or choose from a wide selection of headboard and frame waterbeds with savings to 40%. We'll even throw in a free gift. Don't miss the Classic sale at All-American Waterbeds on US 41 in Fort Myers and their new location on 41 in North Fort Myers.
Well, we're wearing hats today because it is hot out here. And we'd like to make a couple of things very short and brief since we're almost at the end of our time. A large chunk of the proceeds from today's events will go to the University of South Florida campus here in Fort Myers. And we thank all the folks from the powerboat industry that were here and racing at Fort Myers today. Fellas, Ernie and Tim, could we have a fast wrap-up of what happened here so far today?
Just a fast wrap-up, Chris. It looks like Special Edition has won the modified class. There's going to be some confusion in the P class, the Pro Stock class, because Triple Threat came across the line first, but he's back out on the course again, disappearing into the sunset. Captain America is waiting over by the barge, and I'm not sure who won the Pro Stock class. So we'll just have to wait and see on that as to what happens there, but I think it's official. John D'Elia has won modified.
Tim has done one whale of a job helping us.
Yeah, Tim, I want to thank you personally. Tim and I have been friends a long time and involved in ocean racing, and he certainly knows his business when it comes to offshore racing.
Tim, a beautiful job. We thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. You know, now the work starts for these crews. They got to assemble all their parts, whether they're broken or intact, and get them back together, get them back to wherever home base is for them so they can get ready to do this once more back in New Orleans in a couple weeks from now. So it's a lot of work coming up.
Okay, Tim, thank you, and thank you, Ernie Schmidt, for a wonderful job. Nice having you here with us. And Team Apache was the big winner in our offshore powerboat races here today. We've been bringing this to you live from the Fort Myers Beach. We've been on top of the Lani Kai. Certainly a tip of the hat to those people for just being so nice to us. For all our young ladies that work so hard for us up here in this hot sun, a low bow of thanks to you. Our live coverage of the Fort Myers Beach 1986 Southwest Florida Nissan Dealers 150 offshore powerboat races has been brought to you by the Cape Coral Hospital and by Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty. A pleasant day. Team Apache the winner. Chris Barnes saying thank you for being with us and good afternoon from Fort Myers Beach.
Harvey Youngquist is proud to announce the grand opening of Southwest Florida's most prestigious business community, Linden Place. Located in South Fort Myers on College Parkway, Linden Place offers professional business site ownership. To secure your future business home, call Harvey Youngquist with ARC Realty at 466-6686. Linden Place, the heart of Southwest Florida's business community.
Grandma, Mommy says that you was going to Cape Coral Hospital. Are you going to have a baby?
Oh, no, just a little surgery.
Cape Coral Hospital's day surgery program is designed with your comfort and convenience in mind. Your surgery is performed by a specially trained staff. You have the security of our full-service hospital without the cost of staying overnight.
Mommy, Grandma's home.
Cape Coral Hospital Day Surgery Program.
Don't let an auto accident shatter your game plan. If you've been injured in an accident caused by another person's carelessness, just compensation for your pain and suffering and any resulting financial loss is the legal responsibility of the party at fault. It is not automatic, however. Your claim must be proven and a determination made regarding the amount to which you're entitled. Consult the law firm of Goldberg, Rubenstein & Buckley, a firm with over 20 years of personal injury claim and trial experience in Southwest Florida. The initial office consultation is free. Goldberg, Rubenstein & Buckley.
Catch up on all the entertainment news Saturday at 11:30 on WEVU TV.
Today, it's an all-out assault on the liquid quarter mile as explosive world-class strike boats compete at over 200 miles per hour. Coming up next on the Superchargers.
The Superchargers National Championship and unique motorsports events is brought to you by your neighborhood True Value hardware stores. The more you've got to do, the more you need True Value. By Gold Eagle, makers of fine automotive products, including air and repair tire inflator. And by Autolite spark plugs. If Autolite's on it, there's copper in it.
When it's fix-up time around your house, the professionals at True Value hardware stores can help you do it yourself. With this sturdy 6-foot aluminum stepladder from Werner, just $29.99. Repair cracks and leaks with Red Devil sealants. Your choice, only $1.22. Then fight dirt and mildew stains with True Test siding cleaner, just $5.98 a half gallon. And the Wagner Power Stripper softens old paint fast. It's just $39.99 at participating True Value hardware stores.
The thrills continue on the next Lifestyles. Brooke Shields' extraordinary adventure as she checks into the world's most unusual hotel on a 2,000-mile out-of-Africa safari. Country and Western rebel Waylon Jennings' incredible fight back after destroying his fortunes. And the wild and wacky things millionaires buy. A priceless 12th century castle, an island in Fiji, and your very own private army. All this and more on the next Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Saturday at 7 on WEVU TV.
Everywhere around the world, they come to America.
When 17 million desperate people came to America, they came here first, Ellis Island. Half of all Americans have ancestors who passed through here. Age, weather, and vandalism have wrecked it. Donations are needed to restore it. If you still believe in all they accomplished, send your contribution to the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation, Box 1986, New York.
Watch, listen, and win. In Southwest Florida's biggest prize contest ever. Over $10,000 in free groceries from Super X. Plus a very special grand prize will be given away in the WEVU TV Q96 FM Watch, Listen, and Win game. Each weekday from now through July 11th, watch WEVU TV between 5 and 8 p.m. for the Super Trivia question and answer. Then listen to Q96 FM the following morning for your chance to win. It's the biggest prize contest that's ever been on WEVU TV. Watch, listen, and win.